cold. Hey, I'm a problem when I'm on top like this. This is why I just sign a flow. Hey, gotta keep my fur coat close, cause I'm a boss and I'm way too close. I don't really wanna come ask me why I gotta act like this. Tell them that my pockets too swollen, they already know I'ma flex with a bag like this. Like, I'm at the top and that's literal. I'm making money, it's digital. They watch how I step in, it's pivotal. They wanna be me and it's pitiful. I cannot be no one else and I'm flexing, I'm glad to be me. There's no angle they can come for me, boy, I'm 0 degrees. Wait, you can't manage this, can't break this, boy, I'm funded. Gotta keep my distance when you not 100. Those the same ones say they loyal, they funny. You can't match my energy, and yeah, you know it. Way too cold. Yeah, man, I'm way too cold. Way too cold. Yeah, man, I'm way too cold. Way too cold. Yeah, man, I'm way too cold. Yes, I meant it. Yeah, man, I'm way too cold. Yeah, I'm killing it, I'm the realest. Ain't gotta say, gotta know you feel it. My flow got a cold, sick as the illest. I know that I'm great and they about to witness me going in. I went way up, about to go again. You see me on the telly, then you tell a friend. Cause you know I'm about to rain, it'll never end. Cause I got big dreams, big goals, never settle, gotta keep on going now. You say you got it, and I Red Bull, I got the wings and I ain't coming down. No. I keep it straight, every line is so intentional. This is your moment to let it go. You know that I'm into it, I'm way too cold. Too cold. You can't manage this, can't break this, boy, I'm funded. Gotta keep my distance when you not 100. Those the same ones say they loyal, they funny. You can't match my energy, and yeah, you know it. Way too cold. Yeah, man, I'm way too cold. Way too cold. Yeah, man, I'm way too cold. Way too cold. Yeah, man, I'm way too cold. Yes, I meant it. Yeah, man, I'm way too cold. I'm such a weirdo. Tattoos from my toes to my earlobes. Was a role model, I never had a hero. I learned how to live through the stereo. Coming from where I come from, the inferior. Everything you see ain't what it appears though. Everything that I built, made that from zero, then added a zero. I am my hero. You couldn't imagine what it's like in my mind. It's beauty and catastrophe at the same time. Remember they laughed at me when it was game time. Now I know that they mad at me. I'm one you can't find. I'm not from the day. I come alive at night. I'm not what you used to. Couldn't recognize. They all on the ground while I'm taking flight. Yeah, you're welcome to join me. I promise I won't bite.
Things they say, they're never getting in my way. And even if I make mistakes, I will always see them through. Cause I don't wanna play your game. I had enough, I'm burning up so hot I just break your chain. You can never stop what's building up inside of me. Inside of me.
They call me a monster. I guess I don't fit in with the imposters. I'm taking the mask off. Prepare your conscience. Prepare for honest. Cut off all the nonsense. I'm all in your chakra. Wonder who shot you. Go call the doctor. Boom like the chopper. Don't you get chopped up. I'm here to stop you. Whoever wants smoke like a roster, break you off proper.
Things they say, they're never getting in my way. And even if I make mistakes, I will always see them through.
What's that?
Cause I don't wanna play your game. I had enough, I'm burning up so hot I just break your chain. You can never stop what's building up inside of me. Play your game. I had enough, I'm burning up so hot I just break your chain. You can never stop what's building up.
Am I wasting time? Cause I'm already gone. So long. Can you stay the night? Cause you're the thing I want. I want. I know you're feeling different when you're stressed out. But even with no makeup you still stand out. Cause no one makes me feel the way you do now. Like you do now. The way that you move your body, you make it look like a hobby. Every time that you touch me, it's electricity. Things we discovered underneath last night's covers. Everything came so easy. It's electricity. Electricity. Whoa. It's electricity. Electricity. It's electricity. When it's late at night, I feel you on my skin. My skin. You're all that's on my mind. It's finally sinking in. You're it. I know you're feeling different when you're stressed out. But even with no makeup you still stand out. Cause no one makes me feel the way you do now. Like you do now. The way that you move your body, you make it look like a hobby. Every time that you touch me, it's electricity. Things we discovered underneath last night's covers. Everything came so easy. It's electricity. Electricity. It's electricity. You move your body, you make it look like a hobby. Every time that you touch me, it's electricity. Things we discovered underneath last night's covers. Everything came so easy. It's electricity. Raise that level up. Raise that level up.
Everybody, and welcome back. We've got some more North American Dota action here about to begin. It is the Riyadh Masters qualifiers here for the Esports World Cup, and I'll be honest, it's gonna be a quick day potentially, as we've got only 2 series lined up, right? So we'll talk about those in a little bit. My name's Cryptic. I'm here with Z Quixotics. Zach, it's always a pleasure to have you, man.
Well, thank
what
you.
are you looking forward to today?
I'm still looking forward to seeing new heroes. Yesterday, especially like in our second series, Shopify versus Nouns, they picked a lot of the same heroes. Actually, they just ran
Yeah.
it back in their draft a bit, which is always cool to see. At the same time, this is the new patch. I want to see some different heroes. I want to see the wacky facets. So looking forward to any draft adaptations that we might get today. Of course, we're not at Noun Shopify yet. This is Nouns versus Apex Genesis. No, wait, Four Amigos?
It should be Apex
Apex
Genesis.
Genesis. The lobby name's
Yeah.
wrong. Okay, I got baited.
Yeah, I was just looking at that too. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Okay, okay. So these two teams haven't played each other yet. They just started on opposite ends of the bracket. So maybe new ideas for day two.
maybe. Let's take a look at the bracket. We've got a bracket actually to give everyone an idea of how we got here, right? So it was Apex Genesis, like you said, at the top side against Shopify and Nouns versus Four Amigos. Um, After yesterday, I was a little bit surprised. I thought that lower bracket semifinals was going to be pretty close, but I went back and looked at the games, and my God, Apex Genesis just crushed these. Like two 20-minute games, like 22 and 24, 25 minutes. Like that was not really what I expected, but we'll see what happens in this series. Hopefully, a good contender, obviously. But yeah, I'm excited. This should be a great game.
Yeah, these one-sided things can happen in well, one in like qualifiers, right? Even in close qualifiers, these kind of stomps can happen. But also in a new patch, especially when a lot gets changed, like, small patch, whatever. But in the big patches, sometimes you don't have I mean, you literally just don't have enough time to experiment with every single hero, right?
Yep.
And with all these different facets as well. So you have a rough idea of how you think certain heroes will go together, but you could be totally wrong. And someone else could have a much better idea, or at least they've discovered something that's really good. And so you kind of go into it and you just don't realize like what's about to happen. And it can lead to these very snowbally games. So I would expect this to change going forward as people play more patch and figure things out. But we did get one change that actually helps game snowballs, which is the change to the fortify on the tier 3. I think something a lot of people were really wanting. Closing out the games was just a bit tough, even if you felt really far ahead. But now that the fortify doesn't happen when you kill the tier 3, the first tier 3 tower, it happens after you kill the melee barracks. It makes it much easier to get a winning fight, take an actual barracks, actually impact a lane,
Yeah.
and then maybe they fortify again, you have to back out, but that has actually let teams start to end faster than we were seeing in the last patch.
It was a really clever way, I'll say, of fixing the issue with the tier 3 fort. Because I think for a lot of time, a lot of it, people are just saying, "Oh, just remove it for tier 3s." But there is a case to be made for like, all right, give them something, throw them a bone. Like we don't want teams to get ran over in 15, 20, 25 minutes. And if they're able to just steamroll a high ground and then there's no way of stalling them, then the games just end too quickly. So I kind of like how they I don't I kind of I don't, it's not kind of like I do like how they approached it. And they're like, put on the melee barracks. And now if you're the sieging team, you have a choice. You're like, do we go the tier 3 then ranged? And then melee, or do we just go tier 3 melee back? Do we go tier 3 one lane, tier 3 another lane? Like you have a lot of options now on how you want to, like you said, kind of actually impact the game now if you can go high ground. So I think yeah, it was a cool change. I like it a lot. I think they did a really good job with that one.
Yeah, I'm still waiting to build a trebuchet outside the enemy base, but like,
Yep.
I guess I'll take
One
this.
day at a time.
Yeah, yeah. I'll say the fastest and innate ability, for better for worse, people will definitely there are some people who will say power creep, all that. But with the innate abilities and the facets, I would argue a lot of heroes just got stronger at the start, and the balancing idea is that everyone got stronger, and so no one's like ahead of the others too much. Of course, still some balancing to be done on that front, but relative to the game and the objectives, those didn't really change. So the fact that the heroes all start just like a little stronger with these different innate abilities and facets
Yeah.
also means you can reach a point faster where you're able to take the towers, able to take Roshan. Those objectives have become a little easier. So all these changes working to speed up the game just a little bit.
It's funny how it's like some heroes just got like massive buffs for existing thanks to the like changes to facets and innates. And then you look at other heroes and you're like, this hero's just worse. Like they just stripped a bunch of stuff off of their abilities and made them facets that you have to choose between. So you're just like are missing part of your abilities now on certain heroes and you're like, huh. Well, that's not cool. So it was a really interesting distribution, especially because some of them you're like, I don't even think this hero was good, and now it's definitely not good. Um, But a funny example of all of this is like Shadow Fiend, where they rip all the stuff out of his abilities, and then they just give him a new ability, and no, everyone's like, "Eh, it's still terrible. We're not going to touch that." And he's still just good. He's actually just a solid pick now because he's a lane dominator. But hopefully we see him. He's been banned in all of our games, right?
I don't remember if banned in every game, but we haven't seen him picked at the least. Which, when I quickly look through the various qualifiers going on all around the different regions, some teams do seem to care about him, respect ban, pick him pretty quickly. Other teams just like he doesn't show up in the draft. So that kind of thing. There's a couple of heroes like that where some of them do seem to be recognized by most teams as pretty broken. The heroes like Templar Assassin, Weaver, Storm Spirit, Tiny, those are pretty prevalent. But there's like Shadow Fiends in that realm, I think, where some players like it, some don't. And over time, as they have a bit more space to look at the other teams and say, oh, okay, they were finding success with Shadow Fiend. Should we try it? I like Shadow Fiend, but I thought it was bad. I'll try it. It's like, oh, it's actually better than I thought. Or the
Yeah.
teams who think it is good, they start losing with it. Like, okay, maybe it's not as good as we thought. But it's still pretty early, all things considered. We were on that previous patch for months, right? We're only in
Yeah.
week 2, week 3 of this patch. So crazy amount to figure out.
There's definitely some heroes I'm surprised we're not seeing in pro play still. Like Juggernaut got some like absolutely enormous buffs to his kit, and I was like, I feel like he has to be good. Like he feels good to play now as opposed to where he was before. But a lot of the pro teams are just avoiding him. And maybe it's because we're still in this strength hero meta, right? Like I don't know if that's just actually the case where all right, Jug can't get to 5,000 HP no matter what you build on him, so he's not pickable, but it's definitely odd. I thought we'd be seeing more of him. We'll see. There's some heroes I want to see kind of creep back into the meta. I want to see some more Primal Beasts. I think both of his facets are hilarious. So yeah, it'll be good. Hopefully.
Yeah, for Juggernaut, I mean, I'm not a Juggernaut carry player, but maybe some of it is that there's a couple offlaners that are really good right now that he
Slardar.
doesn't like. Yeah, so we've got Slardar, pretty much anyone who can deal with his spell immunity, either preventing him from casting it or piercing it. And we have heroes like Slardar, Night Stalker, AoE Blink on top, AoE Silence Blink on top. We have Axe, Legion, who can all pierce it. So maybe that's part of the reason he's not super popular at pro play. Maybe if those heroes got nerfed, he'd become more popular. He is doing very well in pubs. Even like his whole kit got nerfed across the board. I think he's still like 53, 54%. I think as soon as the patch came out, I think his win rate, I think he was the highest, right? Or one of them. He was like 58% win rate, which is pretty crazy.
It's one of those things that like they just gave him 10% damage to his ultimate, and like most of the time when you're fighting heroes, right? And then both of his facets have their merits. I think the Blade Storm critting is probably the better of the two, which is weird because they nerfed the other one, right? They ended up nerfing Blade Form instead, but I feel like the Blade Storm crit was like really strong because you get level 4 Blade Fury and like a single point of Blade Dance, and you can clear like 5 stacked Ancient Camp in a single spin, which is just not something Juggernaut's ever been able to do. So it gives him huge amounts of farming potential. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I think you're right. I think it does make a lot of sense that some of the offlaners are just too overpowering for his right now. And if you're gonna pick like a melee hero for carry, it's like, do you want to pick Juggernaut who is so easily countered, or do you just pick something like a Lifestealer or a CK?
Yeah, or a Tiny. We saw a lot of Tiny yesterday.
Tiny. Dude, that hero's never making it through again.
You think so?
Nah, there's no way. Especially at least not for RTZ. There's no way I mean, well, we can talk about their drafts later, but I think for sure that hero is first phase ban.
Yeah, like you said, we can talk more about it later, but it might appear in this series as well. I do think Tiny as a carry is really strong right now, and I do think there's a couple heroes who are good against it. And so if you see those heroes banned out, you need to consider banning the Tiny. So like Phoenix, I think is pretty good versus Tiny because the attack slow is so powerful versus Tiny. Is like this high damage but very slow attack speed. You also have like percent HP damage. The egg is hard for Tiny to kill. But in the games we saw yesterday, they were picking up Phoenix first. Tiny was not being banned, and then like, okay, yeah, grab Tiny, you know. And then you didn't have that response pick, and it just felt difficult to answer. But there are heroes who are good against Tiny, so I think that just needs to make its way into the draft. If you're going to let the Tiny in, I'm also okay with the banning. But it looks like so far, Phoenix, Zeus,
Radiant team ban.
TA, there we go. Yeah, these seem to be the popular ones. Which, if you weren't with us yesterday, we'll try to go through the facets. There's so many, but Zeus right now with Livewire is really good because it just does more damage. Zeus, the hero known for damage. How about more damage? It's just so hard to lane against. TA, the barrier on Refraction made that insanely better, and she gets side blades to start, so she has more utility in the lane.
Dude, I was looking at like Zeus's Livewire. I feel like there is a case for his other facet even as well, because Livewire, it nerfs the damage on your ult, but it increases the damage for everything at like 650 range or closer. But like anything that's further than 750 range does less damage. So I was a little bit surprised. I was like trying to figure out what Livewire is, but I guess if you're going the like Manta Aghanim Shard build, which a lot of people do, it helps for split pushing and farming like dramatically, which is why we're kind of seeing the Livewire build.
Wait, I don't think it nerfs your ult damage, right?
It nerfs the static field damage part of your ult, because static field goes from doing 4% damage to 2% damage to anything over like 1200 range. I think is what it was.
Radiant team ban.
It's like a trade-off where it does more damage up close and less damage far away.
I see.
So like when you ult, you're only doing 2% max HP as damage on Thunder or on your ultimate, but you're doing like up to 7% max HP on every auto attack. And so
gotcha. Yeah, you're right.
That's the thing where it's like it's a trade-off. It's a choice between like, do you want to play like the spellcaster, Ags, Refresher, you know, Sanj Kaya like build, or do you want to go this like, you know, I like to call it the spicy fingers build, the Manta, you know, Moon Shard Shard build, right? Like where you just slap lightning all over the fight. So it's really cool. I like both, but it's a choice, and I think that's one of the things that makes Zeus so good right now, is because if it's like a really bad game for a right-click Zeus, you're like, I guess I'll just be a spellcaster.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's something the facets will do. Like some is like core versus support facets. Some is like two different styles of core hero.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's a cool one. I'm gonna be saying this a lot. That's something I hadn't fully realized about the facet or innate abilities. There's gonna be quite a lot of learning for everyone.
Dude, yeah.
Yeah.
I still haven't even finished the patch, I'll be honest. I haven't even read all of the patch notes. I know it's like kind of my job, but I keep getting to a hero and then I'll like read it and then none of it sticks. It's like it's just a whoosh moment. Just goes right over my head and I'm like, I'll see it later.
5 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. There's at least 2 facets per hero in innate ability. Some of them got new abilities and all the changes, so easily 500 major changes in the game, plus small things. Heroes we got Storm Spirit. He kind of has the old Bloodstone gaining charges. It's now like just part of his kit, and it's a little overtuned right now, so he's been really strong. As you see, like a first pick Storm Spirit, you might be wondering, oh, is there like flex potential with Storm nowadays? Not really. You just kind of stick him mid from what we've seen, but he's just good enough at it.
Yeah. And I am a little bit surprised that it's going to be Apex that bans the Shadow Fiend in that position when they did. So they get the Shadow Fiend banned, and they still had 2 bans available on Nouns. So I was wondering, like, okay, if they're going to ban Shadow Fiend, you know, what are they trying to first pick? Because it's something that they want to first pick if they can. But yeah, apparently they leave the Storm in. They get that option. They focus out on removing the Dark Willow and the Weaver. So we'll see. I like the idea of Tiny Shadow Shaman, though. I think this makes a lot of sense as a response to Storm Spirit. 2 instant disables, like from the form of like Blink Toss into Ava, and then of course Blink Hex. But the Tiny is super flexible into a Storm Spirit because you can put it mid, or you can take it safe lane here for Yuma, as we've seen a lot of teams do.
Radiant team pick.
Yeah, I like it. I like this opener. Ooh, Rubik's a good response. You'll be able to
Yeah.
steal all these spells. We were just saying how good they are. So get your own version, get it better. Rubik, well, we'll probably see the facet that increases the AoE of spells, so you can have a really large avalanche. That could be fun to see.
10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
Both teams have a lot of initiation already. Might see them move more in towards damage or other forms of utility. No one's really buying any auras right now.
Nouns, turn to pick.
Winter Wyvern.
Winter Wyvern's cool. She has a really good win rate in pubs. Both her facets seem decent. Support facet, you take the one that when you heal, it also
10
restores some
seconds
mana,
remaining.
which could be nice for a hero like Storm Spirit. Help give him some mana.
5
If you do
seconds
run this
remaining.
core, I forget what the facet's called, but you get damage for
Dragon
attack range
Sight.
over 400. So she just starts. She's a universal hero, so she's just hitting harder every time she attacks, especially when she is using her Arctic Burn.
I honestly am just unsure at how good Dragon Sight is, because I don't. It's like damage per 10 attack range. So say you have like 1,000 attack range, so that would be like 600 extra. So you're getting 60 damage added to the hero. I don't feel like that's good. Because it's only situational damage too, only during Arctic Burn, like for the most part.
That's
But
true.
I do
I would-
like the other one that you're talking about, the mana convert.
Yeah, if it runs as a support, I'm totally fine with that. As a core,
Nouns,
I do
turn
think
to
like
pick.
when you're using Arctic Burn is the most important time to have that extra damage.
Yeah.
So, and it's funny because like with other core heroes, you'd be like, oh, free 60 damage, it's awesome. Compared to other facets, I do get it that it's kind of like, well, just like raw damage versus other utility stuff. So it's something that's weird, but its
10
win rate is
seconds
good, so it
remaining.
makes me think it must be better than like the initial impression of it. But I will say, like,
5
aside
seconds
from that, like
remaining.
whatever facet she picks, what I really like about this Wyvern pick is the response to the potential tiny core, because you have percent HP
Radiant
burn
team
versus
pick.
a tiny who's really tanky.
Enchantress.
You have the physical damage prevention with your heal, and you have your ultimate to try to get him to kill one of his teammates, like just straight up burst through them, right? So I like that a lot from this pick.
I'm gonna do some quick math really quick. And I know don't
10
don't panic,
seconds
because I
remaining.
am a student of the NA age education system.
5
But I'm gonna do
seconds
some
remaining.
quick maths and see how much damage you get level 1 just off of a Arctic Burn with this talent
Radiant
to
I
see
think
if
it's
it,
pretty low.
yeah, because like my idea is like maybe it actually is a lot of harassment damage in lane, and I'm just not understand, and I just don't see that. But yeah, I'm looking at the numbers right now, and I'll be honest, it's not looking super good. Let me just do this one more point.
10
2.5.
seconds
It is 8 damage.
Okay, it
So-
sounds funny,
5
but if you
seconds
think about a
remaining.
core getting 8 damage, you'd be like, man, that's awesome. Ursa, okay, counterpoint.
Nouns,
Ursa
turn to
core
ban.
looking pretty good.
Yep.
Ursa's innate ability gives him 10 damage at level 1.
Yeah. That's so much extra damage in this. I mean, it's 8 damage during Arctic Burn is what it is.
That's fair. That's fair.
So it's like every 26 seconds for 7 seconds, you have 8 more damage. And the problem with this
seconds remaining.
is that it scales with Winter's Curse. So you
5
don't
seconds
get
remaining.
the increased scalar on this for quite a while. And at level 18 is when it's like, all right, I have like 60 bonus damage off of, Arctic Burn if I
Nouns,
have like
turn to
like a
ban.
Dragon Lance as well or
Mhm.
something. So we'll see. I think with Storm Spirit, you made a really good claim that a really good point that okay, it's probably gonna be the mana convert if you have a Storm Spirit, right? Like it just has to be. But I would be curious to see how much work
10
like Arctic
seconds
Burn
remaining.
can do in the lane with that slight damage buff, especially like you mentioned
5
it being
seconds
universal.
remaining.
So I don't know. I'm open-minded about pretty much any facet in the game, minus a couple.
Radiant
but-
team ban.
Is that
You know.
something someone open-minded would say? I'm open-minded, except for a couple things. I am not. Is that the definition of open-minded?
That is exactly I mean, come on. What else could it mean? No, I mean there's a couple that are just so like
10
absurdly
seconds remaining.
useless, like reverse polarity. But uh,
5
there are
seconds
some that
remaining.
are starting to surprise me a little bit and be like, oh, that's an interesting way of using this, or like building a hero type of thing.
Hmm. Well, some other heroes we do have here. We got Centaur. What we're probably going to see, I think it's called Horsepower, his facet, where
yeah.
his strength is actually converted to movement speed and it doesn't stack with boots. So a lot of people just don't buy boots. You just buy another bracer. Makes his starting lane really strong. He's a little bit slower than he would be if he just went a normal boots build, but it's pretty similar. And so to just have a stronger presence at the start has been pretty successful for the hero,
Yeah.
but he will be laning into an Ursa and potentially this Winter Wyvern, which could be quite annoying for him. Though he will probably have this Shadow
Radiant
Shaman with
team
him to
pick.
at least, if things get dangerous, you just shackle the Ursa or something and run
Rounds
away. They don't
turn
have any
to
stuns to stop that.
That's a really good Slardar pick. Wow, that's a good Slardar pick.
Can't you just run? You can run Tiny into Storm though mid,
Yeah.
right? And try to pick a
think you
carry that's
have
good
to.
versus the Slardar.
Yeah, I think that's the
10
idea with the
seconds
Slardar pick
remaining.
is it has to force the Tiny into mid lane.
5 seconds
Because you
remaining.
don't want to play into like a potentially bad matchup for the Ursa, which we saw yesterday. Like Ursa was actually dominating that whole game from copy, and then it was just one mistake that they ended up losing off of. But
Hmm.
with a Slardar, I don't know how Tiny gets off the ground, especially with the new sprint talent. That thing is ridiculous. Leg day is one heck of a facet, but
They
yeah,
had
I
fun
feel like-
naming some of these facets, man.
Dude, they did a really good job. I will say Shadow Shamans is still definitely the best. Just Cluster Cluck is just
I love that one.
mwah.
Everything about it.
It's
so
they
good.
they're so smart, dude. Yeah, Valve being creative and having fun with the game is still very much a thing, which I love.
Hmm.
They
Well,
banned out the Meepo. I didn't even realize.
oh yeah, you gotta respect the Yuma Meepo as you get towards the end, right? Although it's crazy, right? They even have the Winter Wyvern. They have like I imagine they were planning the Slardar, so like Ursa Slardar. They knew they had like single target, they had AoE, and they're like, nah, take out the
Choose
Meepo.
your hero.
Wow, they are just gonna run the Tiny into the Slardar lane. Maybe with the Enchantress, it's fine. Like she is very, very strong in lane, but depending on what Fade chooses here, if he goes Brine Guard or Leg Day, it can definitely make a difference in the lane. With Tiny and Enchantress, there are no alternatives. Like, it's pretty much always Spellbound and always insurmountable. And speed is going to go Dragon Sight. All right, baby! 8 damage! Let's go!
There was some doubt on it. Speed's gonna show us.
Dude, I mean, I get it. I understand, like, a little bit of extra harassment damage is always good. A lot of times you're maxing Splinter
10
Blast on this
seconds
hero,
remaining.
like, from the support position, but, maybe just that
5
one
seconds
value points is
remaining.
worthwhile.
On Ursa, bear down. Which one? That's the one that his
Increased
debuffs last
durations.
longer, right?
Yeah, 20%.
Okay.
Or is it 25? Let me double check.
It's 20%. I think it's 20%.
Okay.
So that lane with the slows could be pretty strong. You got a very long lasting slow from both heroes now. I think it's also nice. I always forget he has the Fury Swipes talent. So actually once you have the talent, it's kind of overkill, but it does increase the amount of time that you are stuck with the Fury Swipe debuff on you, which means if you're like you get up to 4 stacks, it starts getting really scary versus the Ursa, especially like let's say in the laning stage. So you back off for a bit. You have to wait like an extra second before you can go back in, which doesn't sound like a
Yeah.
lot, but you miss an extra CS here and there because of it. That kind of stuff does snowball for the pros. So it's a very annoying talent to deal with, and then whatever items you end up buying that also applies debuffs. I think like Orb of Venom, Orb of Corrosion could be cool, but I don't think I've seen any Ursas do it. Maybe if that item gets buffed, it's something he could go to. But
Yeah.
I like the idea. I like that it's like any debuff lasts longer.
I think it makes a lot of sense for Ursa, because sometimes he just gets kited way too much, and you're like, I
Mhm.
just want to hit something, and like that, that little debuff duration might make the difference. I mean, looking at the Fury Swipe reset talent like you're talking about, yes, you're like, okay, it might be a little overkill, but 50 seconds of having Fury swipes on your hero is you can't just re-enter a fight if the Ursa has stacks on you. It's like you literally have to leave the fight. Like you cannot afford to just keep letting him stack these up. So it makes quite the difference. But yeah, I'm excited. This should be a fun game.
Definitely. I'll look forward to seeing how Tiny does versus the Slardar too, because it does seem tough. Tiny's a very good hero right now, though. So, you know, maybe he's just that busted. Maybe it is just the Enchantress effect that will help them get through it. Curious how that lane will go, because if Tiny gets shut down in lane, his farm speed to start is not great. So his recovery will definitely take time. And I could see Apex Genesis's lineup like really ramping up. You know, Ursa comes online pretty quickly. Slardar Storm could start getting active, just zipping everywhere, sprint, blink, all of that, right? So they could try to apply some pressure to Nouns if they manage to have like a strong showing in all the lanes. But the other lane should be okay for Nouns, I feel like.
Yeah. We're actually gonna see a oh no, okay. I was gonna say maybe we'll see them fight bottom, but no. Gunnar and Sammy see each other, both walk away. So I am a little bit surprised Slardar, he went for the Brine Guard. Our observer was showing it a moment ago. He didn't end up going for the Leg Day facet, which I feel like is pretty good on the Slardar, but yeah, we'll see how Brine Guard works. It gives him extra armor for, you know, the corrosive haze that is applied to the enemy team. It works really well off the shard and stuff for like farming as well, but it's like I don't see a ton of physical damage on Nouns. I guess like you have Exorcism and Tiny, so we'll see how that ends up making a difference.
Yeah, those are maybe the biggest problems too. Like especially we've seen Tiny's just like pop off, so maybe it's an idea of just I don't want to be killed by Tiny. I want to be able to stick on top of him and just keep bashing him, try to control him up for my team. And the extra armor could be part of that answer.
Yeah, that could be true. You are correct. We have the horsepower facet on the Centaur. Gunnar has the triple bracer queued up, which is kind of what you expect. It's either double bracer or triple bracer. They're just so value on this hero now. It's like you said, you don't really need to buy boots. So not only does it either, you have a couple choices. You either play a little bit greedier, go for like 2 bracers, and then try to progress towards your next core item. Or you just buy a 3rd bracer. You have essentially the same movement speed as you would with boots, and you have like an extra couple hundred HP. So it's kind of nice.
Yeah, and with having no boots, like if you think about Centaur's items, 3 bracers fills up 3 slots. You get what? A wand, maybe. I see a lot of Centaur skip it. Get blink, maybe blade mail. You know, like you have time to keep these bracers and get that 25 value. They're making a play on Ursa down there.
That is a level 2 timing. They got him, I think. Yeah, one more double edge. Really sick bait there from Lelis. Like they saw the Arctic Burn was down. Gunnar gets level 2, and it's an immediate like it's not really a rotation over, but like yeah, that's sick. Very cool.
How are we doing in the mid lane?
Yeah, you want to fill us in here?
No, I got nothing. I know nothing about the mid lane. It is their counter pick on the Death Prophet. She's a fairly strong laner. I really like how they changed her facet. It's Spirit Collector, right? Yeah, so anytime a hero dies, she gets their spirit. And then the next time she casts Exorcism, it gives you a stronger spirit. Which at first this facet existed, but it was only within a 2,000 radius, which means unless you're solo killing the mid, and at that point you're maybe killing him once, you know, you get 1 extra spirit. It felt really underwhelming. But now that it's global, you know, that Ursa kill in the bottom lane, later when she casts Exorcism, there's going to be an Ursa ghost among her. So as her team picks up kills at the laning stage, it can make your first ultimate really strong on this Death Prophet, which I think makes that facet a lot better.
Yeah, I agree. I was a little bit surprised they gave it the global range, but it does make sense, right? Like between exorcisms, you're maybe getting a few ghosts, and that's probably it. But Copy's doing quite well in the mid lane here. Storm Spirit like you said, it was counterpicked. Like they knew this is the matchup that they wanted on the side of Nouns, and makes sense. We've seen Death Prophet actually banned out quite a bit against the side of Nouns.
Yeah, and although the lasts kind of look okay, we have to keep a close eye on the denies, because something that could matter a lot is if she hits 6 first, then Storm has no zip, silence, and then just run him down could absolutely be a solo kill. But he's doing a
Especially
little
if
bit
you
of jungling
rotate
to try to
anyone.
make up for it.
Oh, Gunner. Yeah, I mean, he's kind of fast. He just got his next bracer delivered. He's just trying to make it out of the tower, tries to plant a tree, but nah. Sammy's going to eat it and said, thank you very much for the tango.
Bro, that extra Earth Shock slow duration.
5 seconds, man. It is a 5-second slow.
I didn't realize the innate ability on Ursa was current HP, actually. His damage goes down a little as he takes damage.
Yeah, you're like in lane at max HP. I think you have like 10 to 11 damage with like your starting items and stuff.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
This top lane, Tiny is doing better than we thought. I mean, he's not like pulling ahead, but going even with the Slardar is pretty good. Maybe a bit of a showcase of Fly's prowess with the Enchantress.
I mean, he kind of bodied Shopify on this hero yesterday, right? Like, they definitely changed up their bans to remove Fly's Enchantress specifically. Bottom lane, we're going to actually see Gunner and Lelis run down the Winter Wyvern. But yeah, I mean, his Enchantress is super good, and he's a Grandmaster on this hero for a reason. Like, it's one of his most played and one of his most successful heroes, so it making it through the draft is definitely something Nouns are very happy with whenever they get it. And level 6 about to show up here for Death Prophet. You mentioned it. You can't really afford to be in the lane anymore. You have a Catapult here, you have an Enchantress, you have a Shadow Shaman.
Yeah, we've seen this rotation a bunch.
Yeah.
Both supports coming in around the 6 timing or the Catapult timing. 6-minute runes coming up as well. So this mid tower, if they want to commit Exorcism, it's dead.
Yeah. Well,
Just
Gunner
like the
dying
Centaur.
again bottom. Yeah, they just dive behind the tower. They know, they're like, yeah, they're committing everything to this mid tower. And if they get this without using Exorcism, it's pretty massive for Nouns. But for now, dude, they might actually just get it because of Fly. And he gets a shield rune on copy as well, so he can also help tank.
This would actually be really good. I didn't realize that the Ghost Collector, Spirit Collector actually works on teammates as well.
Yeah.
So she has 4. So if they don't need to use it on this mid tower, you can go maybe safe lane, just take an immediate second tower if you want to commit it.
I think that's the game plan here. Is you get like closer or level 7 on this Death Prophet, and you can just go to another lane and no one can threaten you.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Gunner again just being shoved out of bottom. The thing is he has 2 deaths, and you're like, oh, haha. But he's third on net worth because you don't have to invest into any resources on the Centaur hero.
Bro, it's all intentional. He was giving spirits to Death Prophet.
Yeah,
It's
he's like,
all
yeah, I'll give
part
you.
of the plan.
Are scanning.
And here she is. Death Prophet to the bottom lane now, looking to pop this Exorcism here pretty soon. Dammy's like, oh god, spooky ghost lady.
Right now, he's like, guys, what if I don't even have to use the threat of Exorcism is the scariest part. What if we take it without using Exorcism? I can go to a third lane.
If they can get Yuma top here, Avalanche is down, and with Sammy coming to the top side, this is a very, very potential good kill for them. In comes Lelis, shackles onto the Ursa. Yuma's gonna turn around and Copy comes in. Now the Exorcism comes out, and Sammy will be the victim instead.
Radiant structures are fortified.
These ghosts are so buggy, actually.
Dude, have you not seen them before?
No, I've seen some. Some fly smoother than others. These centaurs are...
Yeah.
The void is pulling them back into the ghost realm. I don't know what's going on.
They are, it's really disorienting because it keeps the cosmetics of the heroes that die, and so many cosmetics are just bugged in the Exorcism form. Funny enough, like when I tested this originally, Centaur was my dummy, so I knew the Centaur ghosts were bugged actually before this.
Well, for those of you that don't know, spirits usually do 64 damage, and these ghosts do about 93 to 100 damage. So it's about like a 50% increased damage per ghost you have for the individual ghost. So when you had like 4 spirits, her ultimate was like, oh god, NA maths, I don't know, like 30% stronger or something. How many ghosts does she even have? Level 1, 8? Yeah, it's like 50% stronger. No, it is 30-ish, 33-ish percent.
30-ish%, yeah. I mean, that's pretty good. Like, and it's, you didn't really do anything to get it, right? It's like heroes dying around the map, just make that happen. So it's a really cool facet. I think it's definitely the better of the two. Not having slow on your silence definitely is unfortunate, because that was a massive quality of life improvement for the Death Prophet. But yeah, it's hard to turn down exorcism damage, especially in a game where going high ground and sieging and stuff is already so difficult. Mid lane, looking around here on a Big Num. Nice rotation from Fly. This guy's level 6. Great telekinesis, and because of that, Big Num's gonna live. That was sick.
Yeah, very nice from him. Nouns won't feel too bad, though. With those 2 towers down, they are starting to get more control, and they've already built up about a 3k lead as we get close to 10 minutes. And top tower's still pretty healthy because they rotated up to save that Tiny. So he's good to just sit up here until he hits his timings.
Speed Gaming. He's fine. Okay, I was going to say, if he does not sneak through these trees, might be in trouble, but he'll be all right. Tiny starting to pull away in the net worth. Yuma definitely taking a page out of RTG's book yesterday. He went back, watched these replays. It was like, all right, Artur, what did you do and how did you do this? Because that was some not legal gameplay. And yeah, top of the net worth charts here, 5,000 gold at 10 minutes. That's like pretty much the gold standard for a lot of carries. Bottom lane,
I find Ursa.
That's a hex. They have a silence to follow this up. They just have to stomp instead. Okay. Very well played from Lelis. Big Num in the mid lane again. Getting chased
I've seen this
down.
before.
Yeah, I don't know if he's getting out this time. That is an exorcism Death Prophet running straight for you. A little bit of deja vu.
Oh, and as you kill heroes during exorcism, they also get immediately added in. So
yes,
you now got Rubik in the collection.
And
Ursa
Ursa
Ghost.
Ursa's in there
Ursa
somewhere. Well, he used to be. He's in the Shadow Realm. Maybe it's when they respawn the spirit.
I actually only count 7
back.
ghosts. I don't know where that Ursa ghost went.
Top tower.
All right, there might be some
Dude, what if
bugs
it's
with that.
bugged, actually?
As
Dude,
you
that
like
would be
teleport
really
around
rough.
or something.
Yeah, like it doesn't bring the ghost with you or something. We'll have to. I'll do some testing after the game, because I actually am curious. Because that would be a pretty rough. Like, that'd be a really bad bug if that was the case. Like if you TP and you just lose your ghosts or something.
Yeah. Fortunately, in the most important time to have those ghosts, probably like the mid to late game fights, and I doubt you're TPing in the middle of that fight. But yeah, these early rotations, like we just saw him do, that is a bit unfortunate. Fly can be found here. This is just a smoke. This is a smoke gank on the position 5 though, so you don't feel too bad about that. Especially once you see that was 4 heroes actually.
Yeah. That's a
But at
very
least you did
intentional
find a
farming
kill.
spot.
You did find a kill, and it is a Storm Spirit who technically we can talk about like infinite scaling on the Storm, right? He's a hero who, as long as he has mana, he is an absolute menace. And now every time he gets a kill, once you hit level 6, you get 1 charge of Galvanized, which is 0.2 mana regen. Yeah, 0.2 mana regen, I think. Oh, he also gains 0.1 permanently? Okay. I didn't realize that. I was thinking 0.3 in my head, and then I looked at it, but... So I guess 0.1 permanently, 0.2 charge that can be lost. Every time you die, you lose some charges.
Yeah,
So
you lose
even a
3?
position 5 kill will feel nice for a Storm.
I honestly hadn't looked through this ability at all, like numbers wise. Like people are like, oh, he just has like Bloodstone basically built into his hero, and I'm like, that sounds really broken if I remember how Bloodstone worked. But yeah, I mean the numbers make sense. Getting the 5 charges from his first level of ult and each level of your ult is pretty sick actually, because this gives you a ton of like power spikes essentially, because as soon as you get your ult, or especially like your level 2 ult, if you haven't died, you could potentially be walking around with like an extra like 3 to 4 mana regen, Ursa bottom lane here. He is under his own ward, which might give him some extra space, but yep, blank stomp reveal from Gunner. The silence into the Atos eventually, I'm sure, but the Hex is there for Lelis. Ursa goes down, loses his courier as well, just insult to injury.
He did deliver the item at least, though Cornucopia is not the most important item. At least it wasn't like the Battle Fury on it that you just lost.
Yeah.
Though, actually, maybe you'd prefer to be at that point because the Battle Fury is still in the work.
I'm over here.
Yeah, I mean, he's decent on net worth, right? It's not like he's really struggling, but you aren't anywhere even remotely close to this Tiny. Fade actually jumps in aggressively here to the mid lane, has the crush
Radiant's bottom tower
with his
is under
blink dagger,
attack.
so he can start doing some serious damage on the Slardar now, but he's gonna need some items. Like, he wants to get to his shard. He probably wants this game to play for like an Aghanim Scepter if he's gone for the Brine Guard. But the Aghanim Shard is like a must pick up if you go this facet.
Yeah, how much do you get again? You get 40%.
Yeah. So when you like crush like a like, I mean, eventually you just start one-shotting creep waves with crush, but if you get like a multi-hero crush, you end up just getting like 20 armor. And if you have Ags on top of it, it is, yeah, you're kind of like unkillable to physical damage. Bottom lane, nice smoke wraparound. Gunner gets caught here by Fade. The cluster clock gets him out for a moment, dispels the corrosive haze. There's the stampede, a really nice shackles and a ward drop. Sammy's gonna come in, they finish off the kill. Now looking for, they get the zip. The vortex will help finish off the Shadow Shaman. Beautifully done.
2 more galvanized charges. And I thought they might do Roshan, but actually looks like they're gonna rotate up here to try to defend this. So Roshan moved top anyways.
That's a lot of damage, Fade. And here comes Copy. Big wraparound on the backside. They get the exorcism out. He's life draining a little bit, but he just gets bursted down instead. The minus armor from the Slardar. The damage from the Ursa is just overwhelming. Dude, Copy went into that fight with like a full bottle and like 40% HP.
Yeah, so unfortunately for his current build, which is Yule's Atos, he has no armor. He's not doing like a Veil build, which he might pivot to now, but because of that, he's only got 8 armor, so when he's affected by the corrosive haze, he was -2, so just taking bonus damage from both Slardar, Ursa. I think he was under the tower too, so
Yeah.
just everything.
Yeah, that is not ideal. And that was like exorcism technically committed. It was like he cast it and then died. So that is
The ghost didn't even finish coming out.
Yeah, that is really unfortunate for him. I don't know when Nouns made these stacks, but they have a set of massive stacks here in their triangle that Yuma is cleaning up here on the Tiny. And of course, the primary objective, get your like Treads Echo Saber shard at 15 minutes on the dot. He's already done that, plus more. His Sanj is now completed, working towards his Yasha. He is insanely farmed.
Radiant are scanning.
Status resistance will be really nice this game. There are some long disables on the enemy team, and once he finishes out his build, finishes leveling up, all that stuff, he'll have about, what's it, like 40%, 50% status resistance?
Dire's bottom
Like max
tower is
build,
under attack.
like level 25 Tiny has like 43-ish% status resistance, which is just a ridiculous number. I feel like it's gonna get nerfed, the strength to status resistance facet here on the Tiny eventually, because it is kind of like anti-fun to play against when you're just like, well, we can't stun this guy, I guess. And he can't be slowed. Like, that's the other thing, is like he gets even more slow resistance because of the fact that Sanj and Yasha provides both,
Dire's
right?
top tower is
So
under
you get
attack.
slow resistance and status resistance from Sanj and Yasha. This hero ends up having like 55 to 60% slow resistance once he finishes the item. It is really difficult to actually bring down this hero.
Radiant's
Yeah,
middle
looks like they were
tower
trying to make
is
their
under
way up to the
attack.
top tower to set up,
Dire's
or top
tower
twin gate to
is
set
under
up for defending Roche, but Apex Genesis one step ahead, gets a free kill, and with that, doesn't, well, actually they smoked up. They're gonna try to contest this.
They have Exo, but it is too little too late. They're looking, Yuma's just walking in, an immediate Winter's Curse, but there's Copy onto the backside. Managed to get the exorcism off, hold speed in place, but he gets that Cold Embrace, which is delaying a lot of this, but it's just only a Winter Wyvern for your exorcism. And they still get Roche. I mean, that is great here for the side of Apex.
Yeah, you take that. Thank you, Wyvern, for your service. Ursa's working on his BKB first Aegis given to the Storm, so Storm can make plays, make some space for Ursa. Ursa didn't have the greatest start. He was doing okay, but then 2 rotation from the Death Prophet did slow him down. But with the last sequence of events, he's making his way back up, catching up to that Tiny. So, pretty close game. We've been seeing a lot of stomps during these NA quals, but this one's pretty close.
Yeah, I like what they're doing on Nouns, in the terms of like they are just kind of slow playing it. They don't feel really pressured, but mid lane, Copy in a lot of trouble. Huge stomp out from Gunner to just give him the space he needs to maybe survive the Atos to Slow Wish, but gets out for the moment. That's going to be his Aegis. Claimed right there, thanks to the tiny Lelis falling low. This freaking facet, bro. How he makes out of the tower. He's okay. Or the Winter's Curse doesn't end up doing much of anything, and Fate jumps in. Kind of low himself, needs to be careful. Lelis lives again. It's now on cooldown for 2 minutes, but didn't die. He also had he had like a triple Lotus and a Salve, I think. So as soon as he came out of the Hex form, he just pops Lotus up to like 30% HP.
Yeah, you can be killed because the damage immunity is only 0.75, but the total Hex time is 3 seconds. So there is a window where you can't do much and you can be killed very easily with your 1 HP left, but just every now and then you will survive. And in this case, it didn't make that much of a difference in the fight, but you know, there are times where you will turn a big fight just because you got to live by that 1 HP, and that's kind of why it's just an innate ability. You don't even need Cluster Cluck to get it. If you don't have Cluster Cluck, they know which chicken you are because there's only 1 chicken, but with the Cluster Cluck, with the 4, it kind of increases your odds of surviving for having that chance of a big turnaround, which, kind of talking about the turnaround, but actually Apex Genesis is relatively happy with that fight. There wasn't really a turnaround this time. Get a Death Prophet. But that was your Aegis, killed pretty quickly, so maybe they were hoping for a little bit more than that.
Yeah, I feel like they have the ability to kind of fight pretty continuously, right? With the Slardar, Winter Wyvern, Ursa, and Storm Spirit, like a lot of these heroes can just keep fighting. The only like real big cooldown you have is Winter's Curse and BKBs, but on the side of Nouns, like you kind of have to play around your Exorcism. You want to play around your Stampede, and it's a little bit easier for like Apex Genesis to just roam around the map as a team, because if they see a target, they don't mind like low committing to it.
Dire's top tower is under attack. Radiant's bottom tower.
As the game goes on,
No, okay.
Exorcism will get lower cooldown as the game goes on, thanks to the new innate
True,
ability.
innate, yeah.
It's actually not a new one. It's an old Witchcraft back in the game on Death Prophet. It's 0.5 move speed, 0.5% move speed, and 0.5% spell cooldown reduction for every level. So it's not, it's nothing crazy. You're not going to see like infinite use abilities and stuff, but it's nice, like, where are we at now? Level 14.
7%,
so
yeah.
7%.
I spent that whole time while you're talking trying to do that math.
Yeah, that was the team play. I was just
setting me up,
making the time for the NA math.
Oh god, what is 14 divided by 2?
It's too hard. Are they gonna find Ursa? This would be really nice.
Yeah, they saw him on the well. They had a ward, which you don't really see all that often. Smoke pops, the blinks. He just immediate BKB turning around onto Gunner. Cluster clucking his way out.
That
And
was
he's committed as well.
so close. The smoke broke while they were still low ground. If that had just been like a fraction of a second later, they would have gotten to high ground to be able to see him while the smoke was still up,
Yeah.
and then the blink hex would have caught him before the enrage or the BKB come out, and then that's an Ursa kill.
14 stacks of galvanized.
Radiant
I
are
mean,
scanning.
he gets another 5 at level 18, and his build right now is very survivable. Just has this Eternal Shroud, Witchblade, double null tally, even gets the Grove Bow, which you don't really see. It was not an item you used to see all that often on Storm Spirit, just because like he preferred mana and mana regen items. But now you can afford to kind of play for stuff like play for this item instead, because you just get so much mana regen now from your innates and
Radiant's
facets.
top tower is under attack.
Yeah, and he likes the attack speed from it as well. A lot of people undervalue that. They just think about like all the zipping around and casting Q, but he keeps hitting, you know, with the Overlord. So he really likes having attack speed, even if it's just like 20 from the Grove Bow.
No, it's a lot, man. Like attack speed's huge on Storm. It's one of the like you said, it's probably one of the most underrated values. Like he hits hard. He has 150 damage.
Radiant's middle tower is
Yeah,
under
it
attack.
definitely adds up.
But yeah, sitting currently at like, what is this? Just passive mana regen right now. So he just has 23 mana regen a second now, as he finishes up Kaya. It was just delivered. So Kaya, one of the things people forget, has mana regen amplification, which does work with Storm Spirit in his
Dire's
innate.
top
So
tower is under attack.
pretty dang good.
Yeah, the Kaya's not that impressive on its own. Like if you buy it first item as a mana regen item, it's not that great, but working with other elements. Cluster Cluck not gonna save Shadow Shaman's life this time.
Yeah, he was definitely just caught way out from the rest of his team. They were not expecting a jump into the mid lane as they were going for the D ward there. But really good eyes from Fade. We've seen him grab some nice pickoffs this whole game so far, and he is closing in on the Ags, like we said. Well, I mean, with the Brine Guard, with the Aghanim Scepter, sitting inside the puddle, and like some amplify, like corrosive haze targets, it is so good with how much like physical damage reduction he's gonna have. He may be able to stand toe to toe with the Slardar, or with the Tiny.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
That's
Radiant's
something
bottom
rare to
tower
say,
is
because
under
Tiny,
attack.
he's already up to like 450 base damage. It's not easy. It's not easy to stand up to this hero.
Trying to think like how much armor. I'm gonna just keep doing math, dude. Like I feel like that's
It's
just
gonna
what this.
backfire at some point, Ricky.
I can't. I'm gonna get caught. No, at some point, like I'll eventually just kind of know a lot of these numbers, but I haven't crunched numbers on like everything so far in the patch, obviously. So
Yeah,
it's like,
there's a lot of
look-
math at the start of these.
Yeah, so it's like 40%. Okay, just give me a second here. Well, actually,
Radiant's
might see a
middle tower
potential
is
fight
under
break out
attack.
in the top lane. We'll do some math potentially in a little bit. Yuma gets an avalanche here, finds speed. Gunner waiting to get some eyes on him as well. Good guess from Yuma. Just picks him off, hiding in the trees there. So speed, just a solo kill, not the end of the world, but some more money into the hands of the Tiny. He's probably very happy about that.
Yeah, they were setting up here for the Roshan, but fortunately for Apex Genesis, it is a fairly long spawn at about 2
Dire's
minutes.
middle tower is
So
under attack.
Wyvern will be up with plenty of time to make their way back up there.
Radiant are scanning.
A soldier's fortune.
Radiant's top tower is under attack. Radiant
So,
structures
okay.
are fortified.
So I did some calculations.
Hit me with it.
He basically, off of a 2-hero crush inside of Puddle, he has 31 bonus armor.
A lot of armor.
So
Can you do the calculation to tell me how much that translates to physical reduction, though?
I'm just gonna wait for it to happen, and then I'll just look at the number, you know.
Okay.
You know. But like, I mean, it's not that uncommon. Like to go in, blink, crush 2 heroes, and then hitting in the Puddle. Like that's a pretty standard thing. Right now, he's well, gonna see an Yeah, we see right there. Nice bait off this illusion, but can they turn it around? BKBs are out. Big Winter's Curse Wish able to get away from now. His Gunner on the backside just chasing down speed. He's got him, Sammy. I don't know if you can win this fight, man. You are 4v1. The rest of your team has bailed. Oh, man, they're looking for more. They get the Rubik Gunner. Fearless as he just jumps in. You with a nice toss on forward. They get to the Slardar. He's immune to physical. But not the magic damage there that comes through from these guys. Gunner is enormous. He has 5 stacks on that double-edged shard. He is
That was
so
such a nice illusion bait.
6,000 health.
That was such a good illusion bait.
Yeah.
That was the wisdom rune for those of you that didn't see the time. So he sent his illusion there, and both teams were ready for it, right? Apex Genesis were like, oh, they're gonna try to steal our wisdom rune, so like keep an eye on it. And that's why they immediately jumped that illusion. But Nouns was ahead of it. Very fortunate illusion rune there actually, because there's no Manta or anything on this Death Prophet.
Yeah.
So very lucky to have that, but a great use of it. And suddenly we keep seeing this, man. A very close game, and then just one very one-sided fight all of a sudden, and boom, a whole lane of rats is gone. Which in the last patch, they might still have their barracks here because of the way fortifies work. I actually think because the fight happened literally at their front door, they probably still would have lost it all in that last patch. But still, being able to take all that in one fight is something we're seeing more and more in this recent patch.
It's just tiny, man. It's the exact same thing that we saw yesterday because it's tiny. I feel like there's so, like, you have so much building damage on the side of Nouns between like Tiny and Death Prophet here, but you just feel so free to just put Tiny on the front line at any point and not really worry about him dying because of how like just durable this hero is. And he's gone for pretty much the best neutral item you can get on this hero. So he just has a little bit more armor, a little bit more all stats, and then of course the counter attack. So if you know, try to bop him really quick, he just bops you back for like 3 times the damage you have.
And that goes through stuns too, so
yeah,
just casually getting bopped for 500 damage, possibly a crit.
Yuma getting... Oh, I thought he got trapped. I thought Lelis was trolling him and trapped him in the wards for a moment. That would have been funny. All right, all tier 2 outer towers taken. That means all of the high ground lanes are going to be exposed here for now. So one bad fight here, again, would just be the end of the game, I think, for Apex, because if Tiny and especially Death Prophet, if they're both alive, your base will just be shredded.
You know, Storm, he got killed in that last fight. He actually still has 20 galvanized charges because you actually only lose 3 charges per death. As part of balancing this hero, I wonder if that should go up. In the same way, old Bloodstone was like 30% or something, right, of the charges you would lose? Or was it a flat number?
That this one only loses like a very small amount of charges per stack. But then you have heroes like Shadow Fiend that's like, sorry, you lose everything and more. Like, you're like, oh, cool, thanks.
Balance in all things.
Yeah, no, it's the other thing. The reason he looks like he has so much is he just hit level 18 and got 5 additional stacks as well. So he yeah, he's chilling, very chilling. I think Shiva's Guard absolutely essential for him. Needs to get some armor to deal with the Tiny, as well as the Death Prophet Exorcism, which I don't even know how many spirits she's currently sitting on, but I think they've probably all disappeared. Yeah, because I think it was all during the fight that she got the spirits converted over. A shield rune for Tiny. Oh. 6,000 HP health. Boulder. He's now a mountain.
They may just wait out Aegis, though, at this rate. We're halfway through the duration. You're in a pretty good spot for Nouns. I guess you just see what you can get, but I don't think they really need to dive or anything. You can wait the 2.5 minutes to make your life easier.
Tiny's going, bro. He has 6,300 HP. Gunner, though, just gets found on the backside. Speed instantly removed from the fight. Gunner, of course, the trade. They get the Ursa. That's going to be the Aegis Wish onto the backside, trying to grab Shadow Shaman. He might, of course, get out of the dump. He just gets Hexed brought down immediately. The amp damage coming through from the Shaman is too much. Big Num will go down next as Sammy's trying to hobble his way back into the base. Protected by a Glimmer Cape, the Enrage from the Shard. He gets the Blink out to safety. Being forced to buy back to keep his Ursa alive, but this is what I was talking about. Both Death Prophet and the Tiny are alive. Your last fortification spent, and these buildings are about to fall.
No Winter's Curse. Storm could buy back. Oh, there it is.
He's gonna do it. They go in. Yuma, he still has his BKB. The Avalanche, the toss. Ursa silenced and immediately brought down. Fade now stuck inside of his own puddle. Of course, reducing a lot of the physical damage, but Fly, he's got the pure damage, baby. Cluster Cluck keeps Shaman alive again.
Radiant's middle barracks are under attack.
GG.
Radiant's middle
Dude,
barracks has fallen.
Lelis
Radiant's middle
is
barracks has fallen.
backing his way to the bank right now, dude. That's all I'm saying.
Victory.
Cluster Cluck's so good. I mean, it's not the it's not the only reason they won that game. It's probably the draft as a whole, the plays, some that illusion bait was sick, Tiny doing tiny things, but Cluster Cluck, man, so good, so good.
Yeah, it really is just such a fun ability to watch. Like, he goes in and he has to commit so much. Of course, you have to pop your Vortex first, then you get him down, and then he just instant dispels, turns into a chicken, has invulnerability, and you're like, well, if I don't find him, I'm gonna get hexed. And it happened twice, right? That was what happened on his first death when he went in, to try and grab the Shaman. He couldn't burst him and just gets immediately hexed and just killed in that hex amplified damage. And then tries it a second time. He gets the Cluster Cluck, the foul play passive, but then gets hexed again and dies. That is Shadow Shaman. One of the reasons we see this hero picked a lot into the Storm Spirit, and it is a Lelis specialty. There's been several games where I have seen, I think you and I were casting a game where he just rushed BKB on a Shadow Shaman and just won Nouns a game when they were 15k behind. He just went blink BKB and just shackled a core and they just won. So he does some cool stuff on this hero. I love seeing it back in the meta. But yeah, really good game one from Nouns.
Yeah, and I think we can see why they went for that Death Prophet as well. Off of a solid laning stage, hit that level 6 first. They played around it really well. They brought both supports, took that mid tower, and then made some nice rotations with it, taking that bottom tower. He found 2 kills on the Ursa, right? So a lot of early momentum all around that Death Prophet. It was a pretty good showing from Apex Genesis. It was a pretty even game for most of that. That illusion bait really got them, and it kind of broke open the game. I think you change that rune maybe, or you somehow realize it's an illusion or something, then maybe that game looks very different, because they were getting kind of there. Storm had a lot of charges. Ursa was reaching some of that critical mass of big items where you blink, just kill someone right away.
Yeah.
So they were getting there, and especially around maybe finding a big ultimate from the Winter Wyvern. But unfortunately for them, it just that particular fight did not happen for them this game.
Yeah. It was definitely a fun game to start. We'll see what happens in game number 2, though, because I think we might see some draft modifications. I don't think Tiny is making it through for the rest of the day. I think every team has looked at this hero and has been like, there is no legitimate answer to Tiny. Everyone's theory crafted, everyone's tried a bunch of stuff. They run the Slardar in the offlane here. They ran this Frost DK yesterday with healing reduction and attack speed slow, and everyone's like, nope. It wins. It wins one fight, and then everything falls apart. So I would be shocked if Tiny keeps making it through. But for now, we're going to go to a short break, everyone. And we'll be back with game number 2 of Apex Genesis versus Nouns here on the Riyadh Masters NA Closed Qualifiers. We'll see you in a bit.
Let's go, get the party started. You know how to get it going. I'm so
Am I wasting time? 'Cause I'm already gone. So long, can you stay the night? 'Cause you're the thing I want. I know you're feeling different when you're stressed out, but even with no makeup you still stand out. 'Cause no one makes me feel the way you do now, like you do now. The way that you move your body, you make it look like a hobby. Every time that you touch me, it's electricity. Things we discovered underneath last night's covers. Everything came so easy. It's electricity. Electricity. Whoa. It's electricity. Electricity. It's electricity. When it's late at night, I feel you on my skin. My skin. You're all that's on my mind. It's finally sinking in. You're it. I know you're feeling different when you're stressed out, but even with no makeup you still stand out. 'Cause no one makes me feel the way you do now, like you do now. The way that you move your body, you make it look like a hobby. Every time that you touch me, it's electricity. Things we discovered underneath last night's covers. Everything came so easy. It's electricity. Electricity. It's electricity. Electricity. It's electricity. The way that you move your body, you make it look like a hobby. Every time that you touch me, it's electricity. Things we discovered underneath last night's covers. Everything came so easy. It's electricity. Electricity. It's electricity. You move your body. Electricity. You move your body. It's electricity.
Welcome back, everybody. We've got more Dota action here just about to begin. It is the North American qualifiers here for Riyadh Masters of the Esports World Cup. And game one, pretty close for a while, and then it all broke apart from a really well-played illusion rune bait from Nouns. And like you said, if this was a different rune, this game could have been completely different. And it's those like little details, those little playmaking potentials that teams come up with that really make Dota a special game. But we'll see what happens in game two. I think we'll probably see some adaptations in the draft, particularly this tiny hero. But what do you think is going to happen?
I do think so. I mean, we've seen kind of the same thing happen with a tiny 3 times in a row, which is that has a decent laning stage. Like I wouldn't say he dominates, but it's like decent laning stage, gets kind of left alone, farms up, then he eventually hits that critical mass, wins one major fight, breaks down the game. So it's looked good. But I do know Tiny is not I think it's not the end all be all of like most broken hero. There's like several really good heroes.
Yeah.
I do think there are answers to Tiny, but at least in the games we're seeing, I feel there's not enough pressure being applied to the Tiny. Like if you have the late game response, which I'm not fully sure what that is, but if you think you have that and you're like, I'm not worried about this Tiny, I've got the counter pick, then that kind of makes sense, you know? But we're pretty early in the patch, so maybe teams think they have that, and then they just turns out they don't. And if you don't think you have that, you need to put more pressure to the Tiny so he doesn't reach that point. Which I think they were trying. You know, we definitely saw smoke plays go up there. You run to the Enchantress instead, unfortunately, things like that. So it's not for lack of trying, but when you try, it doesn't work out, and then it turns out you also don't maybe have the late game answer, which I thought the Wyvern was cool. I think Ursa makes sense. You know, maybe it was just the execution of the fight. So we were reaching some like tiny counter stuff, and that's why I don't want it to be, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if the teams still don't feel it's tiny, you know. There's like, there's other things we could work on, you know, like give them tiny. We think we work on our execution. We go with our answers we think we have. I can see it. But I can also see Tiny just doing the exact same thing for a 4th game in a row if they let it through. So,
That's
you know,
the thing, right?
sometimes you just ban it.
I'm like looking through. I spent a lot of time like after yesterday's series being like, what the heck do you even do to deal with Tiny, right? Like it is just such an issue. And the main one I came up with was actually Slark. It is one of the best heroes in the game against these types of tanky strength heroes. But it also forces you to play on a timer. You're like, I'm going to Shadow Dance and I'm going to Depth Shroud and I have a BKB. And if I don't kill you in that duration, I don't know what you can do. Because then you cannot re-enter the fight until like Shadow Dance is back up. And Slark did get some pretty sick buffs, like just randomly. They're like, yeah, by the way, you can't 4-staff out of leash anymore. So Pounce, good luck.
What's up with that?
Which is ridiculous. Like, I don't know why we're not seeing Slark more, but it does come back to what you were saying. It's like, there's a lot of really good offlaners currently in the pool, primarily Axe, who is just one of the hardest counters in the game to Slark. So I'm unsure if teams are going to give it a shot, but like maybe that could be in the realm of possibilities. Because like, you know, if you're able to bring down the Tiny on the Slark, if that happens, you're walking out of that fight with like 50 Essence Shifts charges, and then you're just going to run train on everything. So I don't know. Maybe it gets banned and teams will just experiment with it later, especially when you're on like a potential elimination here for Apex. They have first pick, so maybe they get it themselves, but I don't know.
5 seconds
They had first pick last time too, and they ended up going with Storm, which tells me they thought it was more broken than the Tiny, which it did do well. So I think that was a fair first pick. There are some heroes like TA, for example. She's pretty good versus Tiny. That barrier, the barrier's good. When you go past the barrier damage, like let's say it's like you have 30 barrier left. When Tiny hits you for 700 damage, the 30 barrier gets eaten up, and all the rest of the damage is also then blocked. So she's really good versus Tiny, but she keeps getting banned out. So there are some Tiny counters, but like here, Bat Rider's another one who can do well versus the Tiny. Clockwork has a pretty good win rate versus the Tiny because Tiny's attack rate with the Echo Saber super fast, but after that, you know, you can keep interrupting it with the battery assault if you don't have BKB going. So there are heroes good against Tiny, but many of them are being banned out here. And
Radiant team ban.
yeah, it makes me wonder. Okay, there it is. Yeah, now it looks at this and like, wait a minute, we don't have an answer to Tiny with all these bans, so they're gonna take it out themselves.
Yeah, it's starting to feel like the hero might be.
5
It's
seconds
not that
remaining.
I think right now, like you were saying, I don't know if it's uncounterable, but there's so little time left to try and figure out how to beat this Tiny hero. I think is the main issue. Like almost everything that teams have theory crafted up until this point has
Radiant
failed,
team pick.
and part of it, like you said, is the fact that they're struggling to pressure the hero in the lane. They get their Shadow Fiend, which I'll come back to in a moment, but with the Tiny, it's like this is 0 armor hero with just a lot of damage, but it's being supplemented by heroes like Enchantress and Phoenix, like every single time, which are just incredibly powerful
10
lane heroes
seconds
from the
remaining.
5 position.
All right, you want to tell me about the
5
Shadow Fiend now?
seconds remaining.
So Shadow Fiend, a Sammy Boy staple. He loves it. It's one of his favorite heroes. I know that. It has only 3 abilities, but they are all very good. They made a mistake and actually didn't give this hero a 4th ability. So right now he's currently like nerfed in that respect. But at some point when they, you know, we get a B patch, they'll add a 4th ability to Shadow Fiend. But for now, you just go base stats because you don't really have any other options. You're like, all right, well, I've already leveled everything. I guess I go
Radiant team
stats.
ban.
Stare your death in the face.
No, it's good. You just still play for your shadow raises in terms of lane. You can flex it between mid and safe lane, so it's still what makes it, I think, first phaseable. Kind of like the Lina of old, where you're like, all right, well, it could be safe lane or it
10
could be mid. It
seconds
could even have been a
remaining.
support. You don't really know. But Shadow Fiend, mid lane or safe lane are still pretty reasonable
5
since you do the
seconds
same
remaining.
skill build initially, and then you just adapt your items to whatever the game is.
All right, I'll make a case for Feast of Souls, which is what you hate. I'll make a case. I
don't even
agree
know
it
what that
needs
ability
buff.
is.
I agree it needs a buff,
Radiant team
but
ban.
Shadow Fiend
Rounds, time
does
to
not consume
ban.
the souls until the end of the buff. So he keeps the damage while he gets the attack speed. And every time you kill a hero, you get 1 extra max soul. So it's kind of like, would 40 attack speed help me kill this hero? I'll
10
lose the 5
seconds
souls
remaining.
temporarily, but I'll pick up a new max soul
5
count. And if
seconds
that can make the
remaining.
difference, then I think it can be kind of nice.
You're right.
But
That's
I
why
do-
people are doing 1 point of this ability,
Yeah,
and only 1
yeah.
point. Yeah.
There is some counter synergy, which is like you use it, you get the attack speed, but you don't
Now
pick up a
it's
kill,
time to
and then
pick.
suddenly your damage drops by 5 souls, and that's kind of like, oh well, I'm now less of a carry than before I used that ability. So
Yeah.
that is why it's a little bit of a double-edged sword, which I think is cool, but I think that's why it needs to be a little bit better, because right now people do just prefer having the base stats
10
than
seconds
more
remaining.
points in Feast of Souls.
Yeah. It's
5
definitely
seconds remaining.
good for securing a kill. Like you said, if you can guarantee you're gonna get this like kill off on a hero, and that Feast of Souls will give you just enough attack speed to do it, then yeah, popping it's worth it. But a lot of people are just putting like a single point in it and then not touching it for the rest of the game, like
Mhm.
literally until level 24, where they have no choice. So
Fine, you've
it's-
made me. I'll do it.
Yeah. It's a really odd ability. It's got a low enough cooldown at the high level that if you are for some reason like spamming it in fights, you end up just losing so much damage, which
Mhm.
is why it's just very anti-synergy to the kit, and it's one of the reasons like people are not bothering with it. But yeah, I
actually
guess
think
for
one-
increasing max souls, it's nice.
Yeah, I think one change to it should be that maybe not for creeps because that might be too strong, but like maybe for hero kills, if you get a hero kill, maybe it keeps the amount of souls. Like you don't lose it. You know, the max goes up by 1 and you keep the 5 souls, or maybe you keep like a certain percentage of them. That might be enough of a buff even without changing the numbers to make that ability better. But the fact that after the buff ends you lose it and there's like no way to deal with it is like that, like you said, it's it's pretty painful for the hero if you don't pick up any kills and you're like trying to use it in the fights and you're just like losing damage.
10 seconds
Yeah.
remaining.
It's the damage part is big, but it's also the Requiem effect
5
where it's like
seconds
if
remaining.
you've used that ability like twice, you just can't Requiem. Like you will lose so much damage and fear off the Requiem that you cannot afford to like just be sitting at minus 10 souls. So it's something that you absolutely have to pay attention to as well. Let's talk about some of these other heroes, though. We see the Primal Beast Muerta picked up on Nouns. The response is going to be the Crystal Maiden Dark Willow. Now, we saw them run Crystal Maiden Shadow Fiend yesterday, and they absolutely obliterated 4 Amigos with this lane. Now, whether or not Nouns have come up with an idea on how to counter it, we'll see. I feel like it's going to be Muerta in the 4 position. Primal Beast potentially off lane, but could go
Nouns,
mid, and you
turn
can pick a
to
new
pick.
off lane hero.
Ooh, there's that
Would you
Juggernaut
look
we've
at
been
that?
talking about. So I will say, part of the reason Dark Willow is so strong is that Thorny Thicket is nuts. Bramble scales really well. It's balanced around the idea you only hit 1 Bramble, but if you run into more Brambles,
10
the
seconds
damage scaling's
remaining.
crazy. So with
Radiant
Thorny Thicket
team
spawning more
pick.
Brambles, it makes it a lot easier in the laning
Enchantress.
stage to hit more Brambles, but now you just spin. So it's really good versus Primal Beast. It controls him up a lot in the fights. That'll still be a pain for him, at least till BKB, but Juggernaut will at least be able to deal with it a lot better with the spin. He'll take some damage since it's no longer like total magic immunity,
10
but
seconds
it's
remaining.
greatly reduced. He'll have the healing ward, and now you also have an Enchantress who, if you lane
5
that into the
seconds
Dark Willow,
remaining.
you can just run the creeps into the Brambles to eat up the Brambles to help you get out without taking any damage to your hero.
This is actually really cool because both teams have done almost the exact same thing for their safe lane and created a kill lane, right? Like Crystal Maiden Shadow Fiend is like an AoE spell based.
team
We
back.
kill any hero, right? Between Frostbite, between Crystal Nova into the raises, it's a lot of slow and a lot of ramping magic damage. And then Nouns have done almost the exact same thing where you have like a really long ranged enchant for the slow, potential creep follow up into the Blade Fury, which does even more
10
damage
seconds remaining.
if you go the Blade Fury facet. So
5
yeah,
seconds
it's a cool
remaining.
idea. Night Stalker is going to be the response from Apex Genesis, and I think the reason behind this is he's going to take the nighttime at level 1. The what is that facet called?
Night Reigns.
Yeah, Night Reigns. I think he's most likely to do that just to get the extra movement speed to avoid the kill lane that is the Enchantress Jug.
Yeah, I also really like that facet anyways. I think it's really strong because previously Night Stalker, you start in the daytime, you want points in your passive, but it's not doing anything. So it's just like a very weak laning stage, and then boom, nighttime, now you're strong. You also hit 6 in that time, and it's like, well, I have my ult, but it's already nighttime, so it's kind of weird to use it. So it was just like, it was very awkward. I feel like this Night Reigns facet is so good for him because like you want to have a strong laning stage, boom, you have it now. You make it nighttime first. As night ends, it gets to daytime. Oh, he's weak, he can't use his power. It's like, well, now I have my ultimate, and I get to choose when I want to fight, and I can still do it, and then I'll still farm. After the ult ends, and it's like back to daytime. And the fact that night is like 15 seconds longer, right? I think it's just like such a cool facet. Pain to deal with. I hate playing against Night Stalker right now. It's a massive pain in the laning stage. But I think it's really good if you are the Night Stalker and you are on the Night Stalker's team.
Nouns, turn to ban.
Yeah, I mean, this was one of the heroes that you specifically pointed out as like reasons Juggernaut's not seen all that often, right? Eventually you can play off of the superior vision that Night Stalker
Nouns,
gives, and you have like a
turn to
blink
ban.
BKB, you go into the
Radiant team
crippling
back.
fear. You can like blink crippling fear, then dark ascension into another crippling fear. It's 12 seconds of silence at
Yeah,
nighttime.
I forget he has that.
A lot of people forgot that they didn't nerf that aspect of this hero. Like, he still refreshes all of his abilities off the
10
use of Dark
seconds
Ascension. It's
remaining.
one of the reasons I think people are kind of like laughing at the Aghanim Scepter now. It's like,
5 seconds remaining.
if you like crippling fear into ult into crippling fear, it's like it's a 12-second duration silence that costs like 200 mana. Whereas like on the Aghanim Scepter now, you like toggle it on, and to get like a 12-second silence, you use like 50% of your mana
Radiant
pool.
team picked.
So you're like, there's some things we might want to reconsider with this Ags, but it's pretty strong. Yeah, Night Stalker is a ridiculously good hero versus the Juggernaut, and I'll be curious what he can do to survive or to
10 seconds
to
remaining.
counter the Night Stalker's crippling fear, because you have to come up with an idea. And a lot of times it's, you know, Manta, but that'll just get you out of the void potentially, and maybe you can like maneuver to get out of Crippling Fear, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, he may have to build a BKB, which you don't like to do on Juggernaut, but
Yeah,
it might
not
be
at all.
required. We'll see. I mean, Enchantress is a strong laner. Like, we've seen
10
Fly do it time and
seconds
time again.
remaining.
So for everything we've talked up this Night Stalker, Enchantress
5 seconds
turned
remaining.
into nighttime. I was like, well, I still got this Harpy Stormcrafter. What are you gonna do about that? You know, you got a little bit more HP regen, but I still have insane damage. So maybe in the end they'll still be fine in that lane. And then if Night Stalker doesn't have a great game, you don't feel the need to adjust your build all
You
that
may now
much.
select
We're gonna
your
see
hero.
Void Spirit for the final pick for Apex Genesis. So that will be mid Void Spirit carry Shadow Fiend. They're gonna respond with the Leshrac, who was already in a good spot, and then they patched everything, and it's like, wow, he's still really good. Wow, look at that.
Yeah, that's good.
Once his spells are going, he won't care about the silence from Night Stalker. So he just has to make sure he presses them first, and then you don't care anymore about this like AoE stuff. And actually, a lot of this control from the enemy team is like not such a worry for Leshrac, since he's just like pumping out the AoE damage without having to be actually attacking. So like if he's getting feared around and all that, it just like will not matter.
10 seconds remaining.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people were kind of
5
experimenting
seconds
with the
remaining.
Ferocity Primal Beast facet, but I think Romp and Stomp has become kind of just a stable go-to. There's something to be said about facets that just generally make your hero better at all aspects of the game, and then one like versus some that are like situationally good. And I think that's why the Night Rain for Night Stalker is just so exceptional in terms of like the power of different facets in this game, and the fact that Night Stalker is just better 100%, like 100%. This hero is just stronger because of this facet, and yeah, I think the Romp and Stomp from Primal Beast kind of does the same thing. He's just AoE or faster base movement speed, and then on active just gives your team a slight bonus movement speed as well. So it's kind of cool. It's like a baby Boots of Bearing, you know, or a baby Drums.
Yeah, it could be a nice. Well, okay, Thorny Thicket will be a pain for that
Yeah.
extra move speed, but could be a cool way to try to disengage out of like Crystal Maiden ult, or maybe
Yep.
Night Stalker's running at you. I think Night Stalker will still be faster at nighttime, but you know, you're a little faster yourself. Maybe can for some situation, like especially Juggernaut, just needs to get to the edge of the silence, right? You can immediately press spin, for example.
Yep.
Sometimes you just need that fraction of a second, that little bit of extra move speed. It could definitely come into play here.
Just spamming that Q button. You're like, come on, baby, get me
Please."
out. Yeah, you're right. I mean, that's all you need, because now that spin also applies a hard dispel on the end is a massive buff to Juggernaut. It was one of the things that I was surprising. It was surprising that this was like this type of mechanic wasn't in the game until this point. But or like with how they changed debuff immunity, right? Like I thought like maybe they would add this to Rage, to Juggernaut, to all these different heroes, because it's like it's pretty rough when you're playing it, especially like a perfect example is a hero like Viper. You plus Blade Fury, and he just poison attacks you 5 times. Your Blade Fury ends, and you're just like zero move speed, full like the dots just eating you alive, and you're like, well, what was the point? Like, what did I use this for? So I like this change. I think it's really good for the game. I think it's great for Juggernaut, which is a hero we haven't seen in the meta for quite some time. But yeah, I like the draft from both teams. I'm very excited to see this Sammy Shadow Fiend in action. It's been banned quite a bit, but again, one of his favorite heroes.
Can't wait to see a max Feast of Souls first, just to like really rub it into you. Like, here's the new tech.
Dude, what if you just went the other like if you don't go Shadowmire, I think you abandon the game.
You misclick your faster, you're like,
Yeah.
GG.
I think
We're out.
like there's gonna be a point in time where someone's gonna misclick a facet, and they're gonna be like, they're gonna pause the game and be like, hey admin, can we remake? And they're gonna be like,
No.
no, like this has never happened before. But this is like legitimately one of those scenarios where it's like, if you accidentally don't select Shadowmire, your hero is useless. Legitimately, it's like becomes one of the worst heroes in Dota 2. So that's something we'll see what happens. You know, eventually that might be a thing that
Just what
we
I was
encounter.
waiting for.
Yeah, I mean, I hadn't thought about it too much, but in the same way we don't change it if they like misclick, like, oh, I ran out of ban time and I accidentally picked instead of ban, right? It's just something you have to live with. I think it'll be just like that, right? It's like,
Yep.
okay, sorry you took the wrong facet, but you do have like however much strategy time, you know, so it's like, it is what it is. Maybe if like someone were to disconnect, we have like internet issues, there'd be a
yeah,
remake,
maybe.
but otherwise I think it's like, sorry, you know, like it's just, it is what it is, you know, you got to do it.
30 seconds
Make sure the
to
coach is there, like leaning over your shoulder. The game is like, pick right, good, left facet, you, like what facet? Okay, get in there, boys. You know?
Yep. It'll be interesting for when the first time that happens. It's like, I think there's a case to be made for like most facets in the game, but there are some that are so unbelievably bad that if you select it, your hero is genuinely
battle
like
begins.
unplayable. So I don't know like if that'll ever happen, but there's definitely been times in pubs where I'm like, oh crap, I forgot to pick my facet, and then I look and I'm like, oh thank God, I got the correct one. You know?
Yeah. I think eventually facets will be better balanced, right? Like right now, some of that disparity is just because it's so new, and so
Yeah.
hopefully in the future, even if you misclick, it's like, okay, that's not what I wanted, but like there's cases for it, I can make it work. So hopefully it just won't be that big of a deal. We do see the night rains, so it actually started in the daytime, and now here we are at nighttime, and you see Night Stalker just 359 move speed to start, has 6.7 HP regen. It's why this hero, like, it's why that facet's so good. From such a weak, oh, punish him, you know, all that is like, no, he punishes you now.
And you don't have to like invest into almost anything. You get like one set of tangos and you just go straight double bracer because the amount of regen you get from it is so good. You get so much damage. You don't need a quelling blade. He is just an oppressive lane hero in the same way that like Legion Commander is, and it gets you through the worst part of Night Stalker's game, and that's important, man. This hero, the only thing that like typically balanced him in the past is that like for the first 5 minutes of the game, you're like hiding in trees.
Yeah, you really tried to apply the pressure and give him a bad start so that your first night had to be spent just catching up, and that means he didn't really come online till like well after that. But yeah, I just think it changed the hero so much. I think it's a really good fast. I don't even know how to balance it out because I like the concept a lot. I don't know. Do you nerf like the passive?
I think you would nerf. I think you nerf the innate is what it is. Like you either get rid of the 15 second longer nighttime and 15 shorter daytime, or you nerf the innate to be like, I don't know, 35-20, like 35-15 or something. So it's like it's a little bit worse at night, but a little bit better at daytime type of thing, like Heart of Darkness. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess there's like different ways you could do it depending on how
Radiant's
you want to go
middle
about it.
tower is under attack.
But yeah, we see like Night Stalker just bullying them out, right? You would never have seen this before this patch.
Enchantress Juggernaut losing to like a single hero on the lane, right? Like that's just absurd. And Fade said this at the start of the game, not banning my Night Stalker. Good luck. You know, it's like he feels so confident on this hero. And rightfully so. I don't blame him. The hero is very cool.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the CS, it's like 10-5 Night Stalker to 6-1 Juggernaut.
Yeah. We can pay attention on some of the other lanes. We'll come back to this one, I'm sure, in a little bit. But bottom lane, we've got the Shadow Fiend Crystal Maiden. Similar, right? We have a kill lane up against the, Huerta and the Primal Beast. I think for the most part, Sammy's doing quite well. 12-6 on last hits, which is putting him almost already to his max souls. So that's pretty cool. Like, getting to max souls this early in the lane is nuts.
Yeah, which, for those of you that don't know, the souls got moved to its innate ability, so you don't even have to level it up. You just start with it, and that's kind of what's made him such a better hero.
Radiant structures are fortified.
Yeah. Now, it is balanced in the fact that, like, yes, you get to 20 max souls immediately, and it is only 1 damage per soul. And it doesn't level up until you get Requiem at 6, but it essentially
lane, they're making a
doubles the
play.
damage. Oh, that is crippling fear out immediately at level 3, and first blood goes to Big Num. The healing ward will get grabbed here as well. A little bit of extra gold into the Dark Willow. You just would never see this before. Like Night Stalker diving a tower at 3.5 minutes to get a kill, like that just would not have existed.
Yeah, there will come a period, like as it turns to daytime, he'll have to play it safe until he gets his ult. Oh, maybe they're gonna go again. Juggernaut?
They're just
Silent
going
stuff
on the
right
Jug
now.
this time, and he's surrounded by brambles, cannot get out of him. This is such a strong lane with the Thorny Thicket.
Yeah, there were so many creeps too. His pathing was blocked. Like, even with the extra brambles, you can path around them if you have enough open space, which this was in the lane, so there were no trees blocking, but so many creeps got in his way, he could not get out.
The one thing going well for them is this mid lane on the Lesh, right? Copy, he has looked quite good in mid, in his, in yesterday's series as well. He was kind of owning, but yeah, they picked this again in Lesh into the Void Spirit. They know he's going to have a little bit of an advantage here.
Yeah, they're going to have to play around him, because right now it looks like both side lanes go in the way of Apex Genesis. Maybe some stacks are going to need to be created. Juggernaut with the spin and Primal Beast with the trample can both clear stacks pretty quickly to catch back up. Looks like there is one stack right now made by Morta. So because of this, yeah, the side lanes may not be able to join in too much to start. Gunner's just trying to like creep drag now.
Yeah.
Run away from a Crystal Maiden, that feels bad.
Yeah, that's the problem with the Crystal Maiden pick, is she is so good at dealing with this Primal Beast. 2 slows a root as well, just makes her trample completely useless. And the idea here is Gunner's just going to TP before Speed can get in range, so this will essentially send a double wave back his way. So it should push closer to his tower, and we'll see. There is a stacked small camp there. If they went for the pull, they could have maybe denied quite a bit of that wave, but
It's actually in an okay spot lane-wise, so maybe as this lane pushes out, now they'll do the pull on the next wave coming in.
yeah.
A moment of peace for them while Night Stalker, he's 5.5, so he is getting close to his ult, and we're gonna, I imagine, see a play around that. But this is your like 1.5 minute period of respite, which is like, that's the difference, right? Before it's like the full first 5 minutes, the whole daytime, you weren't worried. Now it's like, okay, nighttime's really rough, and now we have some time, right? It's like, oh, well, he's 6 now. We had 2 minutes.
Yeah,
okay,
right?
cool.
You're like, oh, well, we almost had a moment of peace.
Yeah, he uses the ult, he kills you. Like, okay, well, it's still daytime, right? So we gotta, it's like, well, there's like a minute left of daytime now because it's, shorter, it's nighttime again. So, well, yeah, they are gonna apply some pressure here. He's like 1 creep away from level 6. And they're just trying to spend this time catching up. Gunner at 4.5, right? That shows very much how different these off lanes were going. We saw this trick before. Gunner's just dragging it back. They're trying to punish him this time, though.
Yeah,
Wish
they're
even
bringing
rotating
everyone
over.
He's going to be able to onslaught.
Good charge.
The question is, will he astral step for this one? Gunner's just going to waste as much time as he can.
Oh, Gunner didn't even
This
have a
is one of
teleport,
those,
I
like,
didn't notice.
space made, like, nice try, guys. Triple raise. Yeah, they got the slows, and the kill goes into Sammy's pocket. So he'll TP right back to the bottom lane. There's not a lot of options here for what he can do on the Primal Beast. They're just making stacks so that he can eventually try and catch back up, or they're just going to give these to another hero who can make space for the Primal Beast. And there's case to be made. Like, you have 3 heroes that are really good at clearing stacks now, so we'll see which one actually gets to it.
Yeah, Copy is having a good game. I'm not sure if it'd be an overinvestment to just put everything into Copy and then everyone else just sucks, or if you want to try to help them out. I think getting 6 on the Primal Beast is pretty big to help you get kills to then recover from that. But Muerta's just giving him all the space, so he is kind of getting it from the lane right now, actually. It's about 5.5 after this creep wave, a little past that. So maybe you can just invest in the Leshrac.
Yeah. Fade level 6 with an Invis rune, but he is under a sentry. Unfortunate for him. He could have gone for the, the double crippling fear, double void, right? And with a little bit of help, maybe kill that Juggernaut. But very fortunate sentry in the lane to prevent that one.
Yeah, but you see Juggernaut, even with 6, like, usually that's the strength of Juggernaut. You get to stay in the lane, you threaten people. It's like, oh, you want to try to lane versus me? I'll ult you when the creeps are dead, right? Solo kill. But this is how much respect he's paying to the Night Stalker, even with that ultimate available. He's like, jungle's cool with me, guys. I'll be back here. Does mean this top tower. It's full health right now, but could fall pretty quickly once they realize Juggernaut's just not interested in showing back up.
Looks like they are giving these stacks to Gunner, by the way. So he is finishing off the hard camp right now. On the
stack's gonna claim
liver
Gunner.
of HP. Yeah, maybe the stack's clearing Gunner. We'll see. But yeah, he gets to his level 6. He gets some nice last hits. Try and give him a little bit of surge in gold. We'll see if he goes back for the ancient camp. I think now that he has pulverize, he probably can.
It's about to be nighttime again.
Dire's
Never even
top
had to use
tower
his ult,
is
actually,
under
for all our
attack.
talk about it. He just was given a free lane, so he used it to farm up.
How come, like, where it says daytime reduction 15? When does that actually... I'm confused on when that clicks over.
I think the nighttime lasted longer, so it was like 5 minutes and 15 it expired. So that was
Okay.
a 4 minutes and 45
I see.
daytime.
Gunner, get out of there. Okay, he's out in the bottom lane, very low on HP, but that is just how strong the like spell combo is between the Crystal Maiden and the Shadow Fiend. Man.
Zoning really far back. This tower's full health, but with SF here, 4 other heroes, or 3 other heroes, I guess.
Dire's
Could
bottom
be
tower
the
is
offlane
under
tower
attack.
falling first.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack. Radiant structures are fortified.
They're thinking about diving. This could be pretty dangerous with Leshrac.
Radiant's middle
This is a
tower
nice
is
play if
under
they can
attack.
finish off Sammy, and they're going to no problem at all. Like you said, Lesh joining the fray, getting active early, and Wish, does he have another Astral Step?
Radiant's middle tower
He's gonna be
is
fine,
under
but they're
attack.
gonna use this time to clean up these ancient stacks.
Dire's
A little bit of team bonding here in the triangle. A lot of this gold going to copy Gunner. Wanting some for himself, we'll clean up a few. Okay, I mean, that's huge. That like basically evens out this game net worth wise. You still have, you know, quite a bit of a drop off between Lesh and the other heroes, but Muerta gets a lot out of that as well. Because she made these stacks, right? Like that's one of the things. Like when you have someone who just forces, like spends a lot of time making these stacks, like suddenly that recovery gold is there.
Dire's top
I think that was a bit of
tower
an
is under attack.
overplay by Apex Genesis. I think they should have just chilled and taken the tower. We see it actually drop, like, as they went past it, it still dropped to about a third health left. So if they had just
Dire's
chilled,
top
taken the tower,
is
backed
under
off,
attack.
that would have gone much better for them. Ooh, speed getting caught just before the TP ends. They didn't have Night Stalker there to help give them the vision superiority, although maybe it's going to be used here in the mid lane. Pick up
He's
this
got
Flash
double
Rack.
set of spells, and getting the best hero you possibly could. It is a trade mid lane for mid lane, but Gunner's got to try and wiggle through these thorny thickets. Unable to do so as Fade will just continue the chase. Bedlam thrown onto him, but a really nice dead shot there from Lelis. Yuma forced to pot the Blade Fury and run, and with the healing ward, keeping them all alive. It's a clean disengage from Nouns, but I mean, I think you're pretty happy with that still on Apex. Getting the Leshrac is huge.
Gold remains.
Yeah, and I think
Dire's
you
middle
see
tower is under
there the
attack.
difference of having, one, the Night Stalker in that fight, but two, it's in a more open area. Compared to that dive behind the tier 1
Dire's
off lane,
bottom tower
they were in a
is
much
under
more
attack.
restricted area versus the Leshrac, and they didn't have the Night Stalker. So when Leshrac TP'd in, all that AoE damage just hitting a bunch of heroes, everyone had to run and leave the SF behind.
This'll come in
So,
handy.
getting the lead back with that.
Come on, sprites.
Uh-oh, fly. Yeah, that's triple raise, no shot.
Radiant's bottom tower is under
I mean, he
attack.
just got his level 10 talent as well.
Dire's
So
top
it's
tower has
even
fallen.
more Shadow Ray stack damage. If you get hit by the first and then the second, oh boy, it ramps real fast.
See, looks like they're coming back down to finish off that tower. Fade is here this time, so... Well, no ultimate, though.
interesting. He
Radiant
did go the
are
phylactery
scanning.
build. I've seen a couple Night Stalkers go this like early phylactery just because it does
Dire's
give you
bottom
some
tower
good
is under
health
attack.
and mana, and it makes your void do quite a bit more
Dire's
damage.
bottom tower has fallen.
Which he is here. Gunner's gonna scout him, and I
Radiant
think
are
realizes like,
scanning.
yeah, I can't really do this. So that is just a stolen wisdom rune. That's big.
Yep. I think one nice thing about this phylactery, like you said, it's a pretty common build anyways, but one nice thing is that he's getting a blink next. Ooh, wait. Trying to contest some of these ancients. They're going to sacrifice Fly, just try to grab all these ancient stacks before they're kicked out of here.
Thank you, Captain. Yeah, I mean,
That stack was worth more gold, I think.
yeah, I was gonna say, I think that there was like 4 stacks on ancients there. I think it's probably worth more. Poppy needs to be careful. Great split earth. But Fade's trying to close the gap. Well, he didn't crippling fear initially, but it just looks like so much damage. The Bedlam plus the Night Stalker bring down Copy once again.
Dire's middle tower
Oh yeah,
is
so that's
under
the finishing
attack.
thought. We might see an example here, actually, as Fade fights Yuma. Doesn't have his spells, though, so he's afraid to commit too hard. But actually, Yuma does not have the mana for his ultimate, so
He had
he's
no
gonna
mana at
complete the
all.
chase.
That's 2 dead, potentially
Maybe
more. Like,
Lelis
Fade is
too?
he's just dominating right now. Gunner's gonna go in. Blade Mail doing a lot of work to trample. Gunner actually online. Hold up. 3 heroes punished for this dive. I mean, you still get the Juggernaut, which is very worthwhile, but giving Gunner potentially an avenue back into this game. 1,000 gold for the Primal Beast.
Yeah, that's kind of the second time Apex Genesis has now pushed a little bit too hard. And maybe feeling the pressure, like if we don't close out the game early, Nouns will catch back up maybe and then outplay us somewhere in the late game. So maybe trying to like really push this early tempo, but going a bit too far and giving an avenue for Nouns to get back into this, and the lead's never growing much more than 2 to 3K because of that. Well, I have a moment, finishing my thought on Night Stalker. Oh, actually, he went for a Midas. Okay, well, I was going to say you blink on top of Juggernaut, slow him with the phylactery while you have the silence going, and just make sure he can't ever run out.
Is Speed doing it? Oh,
doing it.
My God. What a bait. And they've even got Copy as well onto the backside. Be able to finish him up. Gunner now in trouble as well. Sammy hits the raises, slowing up this Primal Beast, trying to survive for the moment, but the chase going to continue. Perfect execution from Apex. They get 4.
Just what
It's
I was
ya
waiting
boy
for.
Speed with a massive setup for his team. All right. There we go.
Radiant's
Now
bottom tower
they just need
has
to not
been
overextend.
denied.
They're
Radiant's
building
middle
up the lead
tower is under
6K.
attack.
Do not do another overextension. From here, it is daytime, and Night Stalker ult is available, so they can kind of make some plays actually, and then maybe chill a little bit while it's still daytime. But then at 20 minutes, they could have a very nice timing, where if they just spend this time farming, they could grow the lead to like 10K at 20 minutes, take Roche, and start really pushing some objectives.
Man, he went the phase boots on Juggernauts, which I understand because you're against, a lot of physical damage from the Shadow Fiend, but it slows down your farm so much as opposed to Treads. It's one of those, like, few heroes that gets a lot of value out of Treads. Ooh, Gunner.
I think his Invis faded.
Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, Treads just gives you so much farm speed. Not only just like attacks, right? But your Blade Fury, all of the damage scales off of attack speed. So you're reducing a lot of your like stat killing potential and just farm potential. So a little bit rough for Yuma, but I think it kind of a necessary adjustment to go for the phase boots this game.
Get the armor, but also maybe the move speed, right? He
Yeah.
may not get his spells off if he's silenced, so.
All right, he's working towards his Manta. At least I believe he's working towards a Manta. He's got a Yasha queued up. But yeah, 2 Yashas, 1 for each of his hands. So he's a sword master. He can carry extras.
That's true, that's true.
Top lane Fly might be in some trouble here. Void, there's going to be the second flurry of spells if he needs them. Second Crippling Fear. The Bedlam is out. And another kill into the hands of this Night Stalker. I really like his Midas pickup because initially I was a little curious like if it was going to pay off. Bottom lane, there's going to be the Axe reveal here from Wish, but a potential bait as they're all there to turn it around. Very well done. They had vision on the high ground there, right? Thanks to the ward, and so they TP into the trees, bait out that Void Spirit rotation, get themselves really nice kill.
Wonder, the damage is kind of low because of how it's been going. I was wondering if they could do Roche off of that. It is down here for a little bit longer. Once it turns to night, it's going to be really hard to get it, and like Shadow Fiend definitely has the damage for it, so I imagine it's going to be an objective we see taken by Apex Genesis pretty quickly here as it moves over, but yeah, it looks like they decide it's not really worth trying for.
We have Bloodstone done on copy. I'm assuming he's just gonna finish the Kaya Sange, right? A lot of times that's like the natural progression on a Leshrac, unless you're going for like an early Eternal Shroud to a lot of magic damage. This game, there is a lot of magic damage on the side of Apex. Don't get me wrong, right? Between Bedlam and Night Stalker, Void Spirit, like that is a lot of magic damage. But he also just needs to get raw HP. So Kaya Sange into Eternal Shroud may be his play. Eventually a Shiva's Guard or a Eul's. There's a lot.
Yeah, it's tough. There's a good mix of damage on the side of Apex Genesis. Yeah. So it's tough to decide like which one.
Oh, Fate finished the Conda. Okay. So I was gonna mention the Midas on him earlier. And then a fight broke out. But I like this build a lot because it shows that they don't mind taking the late game scale, right? If they want to take this late, this Night Stalker will be very strong. He'll be doing, you know, as much damage as you could expect an offlaner to do. And because of the carry matchup, right, like, you can't really rely on Juggernaut safely if there's a Night Stalker in the game, unless he builds a BKB, which you really hate building on this Juggernaut.
Yeah, it's pretty late game BKB too, because currently he's got queued up. He's got that Manta. He's thinking about Aghanim's Mjolnir, so it would be pretty late BKB.
That is the build, like 100% of games. If you're playing Juggernaut, you are going Maelstrom. If you're having a really good game, you rush the Mjolnir into your Yasha component with either like Manta or SNY and then Axe. Like that is your damage. Everything else after that is like your, okay, what do I need to do to not die, or what do I need to do to deal damage, right? Like, do you need a Blink Dagger? Do you need a BKB? Do you need like Scotty for some like ranged carry? Do you need like Bashers, Nullifiers? Like, there's a lot of things that you can build into, but I feel like the core 3 items is always going to be like your Mjolnir, your Sasha component, your Yasha component, and then your Aghanim Scepter.
Oh, did they just miss sight of him in the trees?
He is.
Oh,
okay,
no,
they got him now. Fade sees him. That bonus nighttime vision. He's high-fiving. He knows something's coming. Does he get the... Dude, I don't think he was paying attention to where his hero was.
He was probably looking somewhere else.
I think he was. Maybe he was looking at Gunnar, who's also caught in the mid lane. I'm not sure. They hear Dark Ascension, and I think, you know, Gunnar gets gone on, and they're like, oh, okay, well, they're going for Gunnar, but instead they actually get 2 kills off of this smoke rotation and the Aegis.
That was a very cool play. It was a bit high risk, high reward, which is that they left 2 heroes to finish Roche and then smoked through the Twin Gate, so that as soon as the Roche sound finishes, you're like, oh, they were doing Roche, right? We better push out lanes real quick, you know, make use of this time. They're already on top of you. But if Nouns had maybe had better vision, saw something going on, you know, maybe they contest the Roche, maybe they take the fight against the 3 heroes who left. So it could have really backfired, but instead they get everything. They get the Roche, they get 2 kills, actually even more than I thought. I thought they were just going to find the 1, but that was a really big win for Apex Genesis.
Oh, Gunnar. Blink Pulverize into the Omni. They got him. Okay. it's like pickoffs like this are absolutely necessary if they want to try and get back into this game. It's a little bit. It's, you know, not quite enough yet, but definitely helpful. We've seen this exact support duo on the side of Nouns before, right? Enchantress and the Muerta. They scale incredibly well. So we'll see if they can actually get a lot out of them as this game goes on. Fade into the mid lane, just pops his BKB. He's doing so much damage to the Lesh. You're kidding me.
Oh, you thought you were winning?
Where did
Just
this hero
went
go?
Honda damage, man. And he had the Bedlam on top of him.
I was like, had to be Bedlam too, right?
Mm-hmm. Both. Yeah, they just ran him down. Just did not care. BKB is not yet done on Leshrac. Otherwise, maybe he still gets killed, but he'd live a lot longer since he'd have all that magic resistance. But good kill by them. Gonna get them the tier 2 tower in the mid lane now. And that finishes up some big timing. I think that was the BKB just got revealed, and now he's working on a blink that he just got a nice chunk of gold for. I think Void Spirit. Void Spirit already has his Ags, actually.
Yeah.
What's that stuff working on? It has his Manta. So they still got half the duration on Aegis. They can finish up this last tier 2 and then start poking at the high ground.
Speed mid lane, looking to set up a kill here with the tail end of this Invis rune. Copy. Oh, not copy, sorry. The Void Spirit Wish. A little bit too far away to go for it, though.
Radiant are
Okay,
scanning.
so Copy after these like couple engagements is like, I just need a BKB. I can't afford to die like this. I looked at the damage he took in that last fight, and the majority of it was like, not even joking, was Bramble Maze. He took like 500 magic damage from Brambles.
Dude, Bramble is so good, I'm telling you. You guys, if you haven't played Dark Willow yet, pick Thorny Thicket, just press Q.
It's so good. Alright, well. Tier 3 tower about to fall here. Sammy just hitting this kind of uncontested. Split Earth will just be able to do a decent chunk of damage there. As Bramble Maze continuing to hold Copy in place. Curse Crown will spawn some more. And they'll just back away, it looks like. Can't really blame them. They see Juggernaut on the bottom side of the map farming, and Night Stalker is hoping he'll show himself again.
He's under a ward.
Oh, they caught Sammy. You're right. Under a ward. That's a massive find. Of course, he does have the Aegis. The question is, can you kill him again? An immediate Dark Ascension. The BKB out from Copy. A great man to dodge, though. Can they continue the chase? He's going to pop the Invis. The dust is out. Big Requiem, but it's not enough. You will trade the Leshrac for this one, and now it's Fade's turn to get in the action. He's going to soar through these guys, get a kill onto the Enchantress, and Wish looking to chase for more. Yuma on the high ground, okay for the moment. A 2-for-1, getting the Shadow Fiend and the Aegis. It's still good for Apex, but I think an okay trade if you're Nouns. I don't think you're too upset, maybe.
Yeah, that's a little bit of the story of this game. Maybe they're going to find speed here. Which is that Apex Genesis is generally winning, but there's enough moments where if it had been done a little bit more cleanly, like, they're probably winning already, like, taking 1 or 2 lanes of barracks and the game's, you know, reaching its conclusion. But instead, Nouns is just hanging on because there's enough overextensions and enough, like, small slip. Ooh, stun just off the mark there.
Oh my goodness.
Good escape by Speed. There's just enough mistakes from Apex Genesis to keep Nouns in this, which means they might eventually find a big fight to then turn this game on its head.
Yeah, I think there's still a lot that has to go right for Nouns going forward, but that like moment right there, like your Primal Beast couldn't kill a Crystal Maiden. And part of it is because of his items. He has like Light Collector, Drums, Glimmer Cape, and a Windlace. Like Crystal Maiden is zooming. She is so fast on this hero, right? Like she's running around 380 MS without the drums active, and you know Primal Beast tries to get on top of her, and she just, you know, almost like probably 440 move speed just running away. Like that is not what you expect out of a Crystal Maiden. But it's a really cool build.
Maybe they can find Fade down here with their smoke. That'd be a really big kill. pretty deep though. Enemy could respond. Instead, it looks like Gunner might accidentally run to 3 on his own. Oh, as it pauses.
He has a blink. He has a blink. So chances are Gunner is just going to immediately blink in his facing direction. He should be fine. I don't think they're in range for Crystal Nova. Astral Step obviously has an animation, so...
Gentleman's agreement. Let me blink out, guys. Come on.
Yeah,
That was an
we'll
unlucky
see.
pause. Let me go. Let me go.
Oh, Gunno. Yeah, instant blink. Yeah, exactly. Okay, I was like,
They
I'm
weren't
pretty
going to
sure
let him go.
Blink and Astral Step are coming out immediately, so we'll see. Yeah.
So bored.
I need to be nothing. You understand that, right?
All right. Well, 10,000 gold advantage now for the side of Apex as they're up 19-9, and the Night Stalker is sitting at the top of the net worth charts, just kind of playing, you know, tag with the Shadow Fiend.
I do think the longer this game goes, the scaling from the support side on Nouns is really strong.
Yeah.
And I also think Juggernaut, like we talked about how much of a, like how many struggles he has to get through. Eventually, you finish enough items, your answers are solved. And now you can just like blink ult people, things like that. And you do a lot of damage. So
Yeah. Oh my goodness, this Night Stalker. He's making Primal Beast look like a wet paper towel, dude. He just rips through him. So you get 400 damage at the moment.
Night Stalker's getting banned next game if Apex Genesis brings us to game 3.
There was an Enchantress there a moment ago. I could have sworn Speed's gonna find Yuma and immediate Blade Fury, of course. Does not want to be the next casualty under this Night Stalker ult.
I gotta respect the Apex Genesis is trying to play really fast. It's led to a couple overextensions, but it's also found them some successes where you find a kill top, immediately twin gate, find a kill bottom, sometimes you like teleport, make another play, right? They are trying to push the speed very quickly here. So definitely props to that. And a classic old farming, you know, boring game, Naga Sirens, Alchemist, all that. So it's a nice change of pace.
Yeah, I feel like this last like 12 months, we've seen a big change to actually playing like aggressive Dota. And I think it was Nouns more than any other team that was doing this. Like they were picking like out of, like definitely out of the box heroes that people were not picking. Just because they had a strategy on like, we're going to run this team over in 20 minutes. And it worked actually in a lot of games. It caught a lot of teams off guard. They beat Shopify in several events by doing stuff like that.
Just what I was.
And I think some of the other teams in NA started like taking note and kind of taking some of those ideas, and it kind of changed that meta to be, yeah, very aggressive.
Thank goodness. As a support player, aggressive games way more interesting.
All right, tier 3
top
tower in
three.
the top lane. It's got to go down now, finally. Fortification comes through, buying him a little bit of time. Question is, can they stop this Shadow Fiend?
Dire's top tower has fallen.
Don't think they should commit too hard. Roshan, they're waiting for
20
Roche.
seconds, yeah.
I think that's just a quick poke at it, take that tower, and set up the
And a
get
good
the enemy
ward
team
here.
to retreat back.
I mean, there is a BKB on the Shadow Fiend, but you also have Blink BKB on Gunner. If he
Radiant
gets the
are
initiation into a full duration pulverize and like an Omni Slash, a hero is dead, no matter what hero it is. So you need to respect that potential damage output. It is still nighttime and is going to be nighttime for the foreseeable future.
There's an amplified damage bottom if someone can find it. It's pretty far out of the way, though. I don't think either team wants to leave this area.
Yeah, not with Roche respawning. Smoke up from the Radiant. There's a good ward set up here from Nouns. We'll see if it gives them what they need. As they're going to smoke right into it. There it is. They've seen the Night Stalker, the BKB, the Pulverize, the Omni Slash. He's gone, and Sammy's the next target. The Omni's still going. He's going to go for the Blade Fury. Requiem does come through, trying to finish off Wish on the backside. The crits from the Blade Fury have done it. 2 big kills. Now, can Apex Genesis get out Gunner? He's going to find Sammy, but can't stun him. Onslaught still on cooldown. That is the best case scenario. You find the Night Stalker and remove him from the fight.
I'm a little surprised they didn't pop Night Stalker ult sooner as they ran in. If they had the vision, what got them there is that he ran up to the tree line and the smoke broke. Nouns had the ward place so they could see it, and that's why they were able to jump the Night Stalker. If Night Stalker already had his ultimate going, then he would see everything and he could then either be the one to jump first, pop BKB, silence, or just back out. Now, I know ulting kind of reveals what's going on, but at that point they're committed. Like, they're crossing this barrier and they've already kind of scouted out, so they have to know that Nouns is in this area. I think if they pop Night Stalker ult, I think that fight looks really different.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think it was just...
A tithe to the impurity.
It is scary at any point. Like, if you are taking a fight into the enemy vision, the team that gets the initiation first is probably going to win the fight. If you get full duration pulverized into an Omni Slash, you're dead. Like, there is no way you're surviving that amount of damage. And it becomes more difficult as this game goes on because there's not a save, right? There's not anyone that can really just keep someone alive on the Radiant outside of getting like an Abyssal Blade or like a Wind Waker, right? And you can maybe like Wind Waker your ally out of the Pulverize. But
yeah, it was a really good positioning from Nouns as well. You know, give them credit.
Yeah.
And with that Roshan being taken, I mean, we're at a 6K lead now, which is really not much as we get close to 35 minutes here. So Nouns have done it. They've held on long enough that we're pretty much back in an even game, and the momentum's going their way.
Oh, absolutely. You just got some massive power spikes. You finished up the Mjolnir on Yuma. He has Aegis. He's level 21. Copy has a Shiva's Guard completed. Like, they are hitting... Yeah, even your Muerta scaling 4 staff into the Gleipnir. Fly has his Pike, almost a BKB. Like, the amount of items that you picked up after that fight is going to be a massive problem. And it looks like they're just going to trade. They're like, okay, you want to go high ground? We'll go high ground. Shadow Fiend just annihilating these buildings. Melee Barracks is gone. Ranged Barracks is gone. Yuma only getting the tier 3 at the moment. First crown is out. He'll dispel it, but still going to root him in place. Here comes the Night Stalker. He's onto the backside. Will he find his opening is the question. You have Aegis and you lost a full lane of barracks. It is so scary. Fear the Pulverize. Can they actually find the kill? Where's your Omni Slash? Where's Yuma? He can't get him. And Night Stalker is making such quick work of these heroes on the backside. Speed is dead. Can they get more? I mean, Night Stalker's ult's going to be expiring soon.
Yeah, those were some unlucky bounces on the Omni Slash. Otherwise, I think they pick up the SF there, but still getting 2 supports, only trading your Muerta.
He still has Omni. That was just the Aghanim Scepter.
Okay. Yeah, I thought that was actually his ultimate.
Yeah. All right. At the end of the day, you trade lanes of barracks. You still have the Aegis, and there's no Night Stalker ult or nighttime.
Run it back down.
I was gonna say, do you just run it back down? You just go straight mid lane?
Absolutely. Okay, but you gotta wait for your team. Don't run it down all the way and then get killed. You still gotta wait for him. But as a team, we run it back down. Now, Muerta's respawning. I'm sure she'll TP in and then connect. Looks like they want to go top.
BKB on Juggernaut. He did it. He's committed for the item now, knowing that he has to build it this game.
He's getting all the items that we said, like, you got to deal with this, you got to deal with that. He's got them all now.
Yep, and his Blink Dagger is going to be his damage item. So it's one of those things that you need to follow up your Primal Beast, and Gunner is going to be blinking in, BKB pulverizing every fight, and your Juggernaut has to be able to follow it up. So, yeah, I like the Blink. It makes a lot of sense. Gunner, he has also picked up an Eternal Shroud, so 3,300 HP now on this bad boy. Going for the Aghanim Scepter eventually, which the break is quite good. And there's the Kaya Solange and the Lash. The gold lead is dwindling, man. Down to 4,000, and you still have this Aegis.
Only 25 seconds on that Aegis, though, so they might poke a little. I don't know if they want I don't know if they need to feel required to force it either.
He's got... Oh, nice Requiem. I think it's just to get him away from the high ground. He's like... Yeah.
I think he was hoping
I
that
think
timing
that's
would
it.
work out a little better if he can like just snipe the jug as he walks up. Would have been huge. But pushing him away is good too. Make sure the Aegis expires. It does mean you have no SF ult though.
I mean, Copy just got a shield rune.
Everyone's getting really tanky on the side of Nouns.
Dire are scanning.
Yeah. That's how this patch goes. He also got a timeless relic. Okay, this Lesh actually is going to be becoming a massive problem here soon. Dude, look at all of these brambles. You keep
Pain, yeah. Thorny
What do you
Thicket, and then
do?
you get the Shard on Dark Willow. There's so many.
Right, well, I think Nouns probably going to respect the fact that nighttime is coming up soon. Just try and keep the mid lane and top lane pushed in, of course. They have their bottom lane passively pushing in thanks to the lane of racks that they took earlier. Oh, you managed to find Copy for the moment. They're going to grab the Tormentor here away from the Radiant. So Shard goes to Gunner. Rock Throw now online. Now, Rock Throw is quite funny with the other talent, or the other facet, because the
Radiant's
AoE
top tower
increase
is under attack.
ends up making it like a Ravage, which is quite
Oh,
funny.
that's pretty funny. I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah. If you get like 5 stacks Uproar, you get like, what is it, 50 per level, so it's like 250 AoE increase, and on Rock Throw, it's actually pretty hilarious.
Radiant's top tower.
Are we doing this again? Are we doing another Rax trade?
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
All right, both teams have a fortification.
Radiant's top tower
Shreds
is
through
falling.
buildings.
Yeah, he
Dire
does.
structures are fortified.
Which team's coming back first? Fortifications are out. Rock Throw stuns him up for a moment. Gunner's looking for his opening. Gets Hurricane piked away though. And it looks like this trade's gonna favor Nouns a little bit. They didn't finish off the lane of barracks though. A little bit surprising. Still looking to catch someone on the retreat. They do
Dire are
have some good
scanning.
wards already placed. They get the scan onto the right side, knowing that they're leaving the triangle.
Did get the tower. I think this is where they actually should have aimed for the ranged barracks instead of the melee. Like when
Yeah.
you're getting to these like quick moments and you think you're gonna fall back, the range is a lot weaker.
It's popped. Juggernaut goes in, forced to Blade Fury, gets caught on the silence immediately. Gunner throwing some boulders, trying to find an opening here on the Copy, forced to BKB. Shadow Fiend's going in. There's going to be the Swift Slash. Do they have catch? There's going to be the Pulverize. The Omni comes through, just goes right through the side of Apex Genesis, and Yuma trying to stay active. Speed with a great freezing field, holding them at bay. Blade Fury should be able to finish him off as Yuma will stand his ground here up against Fade. Who's going to win? It's the Juggernaut. The extra damage is enough. 4 dead as Big Num will TP on out, but the cancel from Gunner, a 5-4-1, as Nouns finally showing their strength.
I think they've done it. There's
I
no
think-
buyback. I
yeah.
think this is it.
Yeah, you
I
have...
guess Jug died,
I see how they
but
want to
Leshrac
play.
Edict is a
Radiant's
lot.
middle tower
They'll
is
probably at
under
least
attack.
they'll get megas. I don't know. Maybe they can't end without the Juggernaut.
Yeah, I think Megas is probably guaranteed
Oh, I'll tell
here.
you what though. This is where the innate ability of Primal Beast comes in. 40% more building damage. Let's
I was gonna
go.
mention that. Dude, what a weird facet. I actually just don't know, or an innate. I don't know what they were thinking with this one. They're like,
Radiant's top barracks has
he's
fallen.
basically Godzilla.
Radiant's top
Maybe they can
barracks
do it
is
actually.
falling, with Dire
30 more seconds?
Is anyone's buyback like close?
Radiant's
No, it's
middle
not
Juggernaut has
time-based.
it now, but-
They just don't have money actually.
is under attack.
Okay, I think it might just be over.
Middle tower
The
has
throne's exposed, no fortification, 15 more seconds. You've got to get these guys off of the racks. Somebody do something big enough. You have Terrorize. Dude, what an enchant from Fly. Catches him on the Glimmer usage, and that is just it, dude. There's nothing left, and Nouns come back in a really big way to get themselves a rematch against Shopify in these grand finals.
Apex Genesis going to feel a little bad on that loss, but I think it's a pretty strong showing to actually even push Nouns to that point, you know? So I think it's a very good effort there. We saw why Night Stalker's so strong. Just a couple overextensions sort of cost them that, I would say. Starting like first in the early game, slowing down their ramp up speed, and then in that late game, I think it was second Roche, the movement up there where they ended up losing 4 heroes for nothing. Or maybe they traded like 1 hero, I can't remember. But yeah, it's where that giant dip started at looks like around like 37 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, they were ahead for a while. This is, to me, is like a classic Shadow Fiend game. Like, I know this hero is good right now, and a lot of people are are playing it, but this is just like such a standard game of he's the top net worth, literally the highest net worth, even as they lose, but dies to a single stun. Like, you blink, you pulverize the Shadow Fiend, and he dies. And part of it is maybe you need to draft like a save on your team if you're going to pick something like a Shadow Fiend. But he's got Manta, he's got BKB, he's got Satanic, Hurricane Pike. So many like actual survivability items, and he still can't survive a single lockdown. And it's one of those things that is a little bit like spooky around drafting Shadow Fiend, because he's such a feast or famine hero. He's either going to go 20-0, or he's going to have a stat line like this where he's 3-3. And it feels bad, like losing a game, being this farmed and this far ahead on this hero.
I think, yeah, I mean, you're definitely right, and having a save hero can fix that. But also, I think that goes back to then why choosing the right fight is so important, to make sure that SF is allowed to do his damage. He's not the target, and that's why those overextensions a little bit, it does lead to the sudden turnaround where your really farmed carry can be killed super easily. It's not the same as, I don't know, Tiny. We were talking a lot about Tiny, right? Like, you jump to Tiny, it's like, wow, this status resistance sure ain't easy to chain stun this guy into 1 kill. He's also got like 1 billion armor and health, So it is just a different style of hero. I think they played relatively well, but yeah, just a couple of mistakes can cost you the game. But good on Nouns. It is one of their strengths, I would say. Like, even when we've seen them fall behind versus other teams, they often draft something for them that allows them to come back through like a big late game fight. They seem to have a very clear idea, whether they're ahead or behind, of this is what we need to win a fight to get back into it. And it's something we've seen them do a lot. They're going to need that versus Shopify Rebellion. Not that Dota has like this transitive property where you beat one team, so you beat the next, but Shopify kind of smashed Apex Genesis in their games earlier. So Nouns having a bit of a struggle here. I do think Apex Genesis picked up their game, but it does mean Nouns has an uphill battle now versus Shopify Rebellion, who has been resting, watching this, observing, So when is that going to be? I think there's going to be a break first, right? Oh, we do have a bracket to show, though.
Yeah, let's go and take a look at the bracket and just kind of show y'all how we got here. It is just the El Clasico NA rematch of Shopify versus Nouns coming up in about 1 hour and 45 minutes. So it is scheduled for that time. We will be obviously going on a break until then. As much as Zach and I would love to just sit here and podcast and monologue about the 200 plus facets that are in Dota
we actually
right
could
now,
fill all that time.
we literally could, and just like go through everything. But we got to take a break. We gotta have some lunch, maybe use the bathroom for the first time. Who knows? But it's gonna be a little bit. So we're gonna go on a little bit of a break. And we'll be back with the grand finals here for the NA qualifiers for the Riyadh Masters of the Esports World Cup. Everyone stay tuned. It's going to be a banger of a rematch. Nouns versus Shopify. We'll see you then.
This is not enough. Raise that level am I wasting time? 'Cause I'm already gone. So long, can you stay the night? 'Cause you're the thing I want. I know you're feeling different when you're stressed out, but even with no makeup you still stand out. 'Cause no one makes me feel the way you do now. Like you do now. The way that you move your body, you make it look like a hobby. Every time that you touch me, it's electricity. Things we discovered underneath last night's covers. Everything came so easy. It's electricity. Electricity. Whoa. It's electricity. Electricity. It's electricity. When it's late at night, I feel you on my skin. My skin. You're all that's on my mind. It's finally sinking in. You're it. I know you're feeling different when you're stressed out, but even with no makeup you still stand out. 'Cause no one makes me feel the way